Not all of the commands.
Okay. Well, whilst we finish getting...
Oh, no, it helps if I take that off.
There we go.
Hey!
Now we're
Only,
live once
only
again.
2 minutes late today.
Yeah, that's not too bad. That's a reasonable way in.
Pretty big win compared to normal.
Yeah, pretty much. Although we did all right the other two. When you weren't here, obviously.
So hi, by the way. It's
you
been
are
a long time.
You are the harbinger.
Yeah. Good to see you all again.
I was going to say, to be fair, I've been on last week twice, watching England. Well, yes, let's not.
The number of people I saw just getting really, really excited. Yeah, down with England. I'm like, guys, come on. I'm Welsh and I'm supposed to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also, I'm seeing red lights over there sometimes when I'm speaking. It's like...
Yeah, you will.
I'm supposed to cheer on England losing, and even I can't bring myself to do it right now. Like, the amount of spirit that people had and how happy everyone was about it. This is our football channel, by the way, Aaron.
Yeah, twice in 2 weeks. Whoops. So, yes. Sports ball. Did the sports do? They sure did. And they
Did you
stole
see that
our
ludicrous
view.
display last night?
I did in fact see that ludicrous display. Yes, hey, we got Winged One in. Winged One will be happy that we've started working on bodywork a little bit more and getting some more things in and actually thinking about the... great, I've forgotten the name of it. I'm thinking about it, but I've forgotten the name of it.
Splitter?
No. Well,
No.
yes.
Diffuser?
Yes, there we go,
Yeah.
the diffuser. Yeah, we've started just putting down some initial thoughts on how to make that, so be ready for a barrage of questions at some point in the future with some crudely drawn garbage diagrams that we'll probably put in our Discord, which,
I reckon.
if you're not already a patron, see I'm getting it in early,
Yeah, get it out of the way.
if you're not already a patron and want to join our Discord server, you can, from $5 or $10 a month. You can support us from as little as $1, and at the moment it is still going toward, well no, to be fair, we really need to build that exhaust mount.
Right now, a lot of it's going into paint. Like, how many tins of black paint have we gone through on that car?
Okay, so yeah, well, it's not
You
just that,
counted yesterday.
I did. It's also the Thunderbird as well. So the inside of the Thunderbird panels, granted, I could have just bought more paint. I could have bought paint and done it properly with the spray gun for the Thunderbird panels. The problem for the most part is all the little bits. It's not worth mixing up a vat of paint or even a small amount and then doing it all. I haven't got enough space to do it well, and the weather's been terrible. So we've been quite literally rattling through rattle cans, and I bought 12 quite some time ago, then bought another 12. Now I've had to buy another 12, so we're on I'm currently running at number 25.
Oof.
Just slightly killing the environment a little bit. To be fair though, they do get recycled. We drain them to the absolute limit that they have. Nothing is wasted.
Out of those cans.
And they go in the recycling. They do not get landfilled. So I feel a little bit better about that. And they are all metal and plastic, and they're separated. So I don't feel
Our
horrendous.
conscience is clear.
Yeah. But if you are already on our patron server and you would like to help us more, wonderful! You can by buying a lovely T-shirt or a long sleeve one that I've still literally never debuted on.
We've never shown anywhere.
I think when they first came in, no, because they came in after we did them.
Oh, okay. It's also less exciting than we were hoping because we couldn't get them with PedalBox written down the arms like we were hoping. So they're just like a regular T-shirt, but with
longer,
bigger sleeves. So.
They do have it on the back as well, though.
Okay.
Yeah, they have got it on between the shoulder blades. I have found somebody who can do it down the arm as well, so I might send them a couple and see if I can get them done as testers, and then if worst case we can get those ones redone the other way, and then going forward just get them all done proper, which would be really, really good. But that's not what we advertised. We did not advertise this stream as, hey, come and buy our merch, but you totally should.
No, you should buy other people's merch instead, like Decimal Tenths,
Yes.
whose mug Aid has.
Yes, over here.
Or,
I got rid of
or Not Too Grand, whose mug I have in the kitchen because I forgot to finish making my cup of tea.
Grats. That's some solid work right there.
I know.
But I hope everybody enjoyed the Emira stream that we did last week, going going through the configurator, and it seems to have had quite a positive reaction. We've had a lot more views on that one than any other for a given period of time. That's...
You were hoovering up that Lotus traffic, weren't you? It's a bit like whenever you put a new T-Bird video out, you just get all the T-Bird people who are just like, da-da-da-da-da-da, Thunderbird, newest, bang, there you go.
Yeah, James posted it on the Pistonheads Lotus forum, and that saw an immediate uptick in traffic going through that. So I think we will probably once a month get James back, and we'll just roll a car on somebody's configurator, and we'll just go deep into it for some technical appreciation. And
well, for one of my upcoming projects, you could roll an Iveco daily van.
Yes, yeah. To be fair, the Transit, I think, still has north of 1 million possible versions.
Oh, there's
they used
the
to
number of
advertise
combinations is ridiculous.
Yeah, they used to advertise it as well over 1 million possible variants from a Transit, and that's not even the Iveco one. That's just the basic.
Oh, the Transits have got a pretty rich option sheet now. Though this is a van channel now, not a
diverse audience. Yeah. Football, vans. We'll get to cars in a minute.
Sooner or later.
But yeah, so it's been pretty good this last week or so. The weather has mercifully played ball. We've got loads of stuff done. We were pretty heavy on the Thunderbird over the weekend, and good lord, did we get things done.
Yeah, spoiler alert, fuel tank is done, fuel lines are clean, brakes are done.
Yes. Yeah.
Are the brakes actually done?
All of the hydraulic lines are connected, the new flexies are in, that police car just went past, the master cylinder is in, the brake booster's in. The only thing we haven't done is fluid. That's literally it.
Yeah.
It's basically ready to go, and the only reason I'm not doing it right now, that's what's not in, brake pads. We need to pop the calipers off the mounts again, which to be fair is 2 bolts each side. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket surgery. And we can open them back out again.
Yeah.
And then drop the pads in, put the plates on, and the brake systems are actually properly done, which is
almost done.
Wild.
Which is awesome, because the T-Bird now that actually ran not long before you got it.
Run.
Like you could pour fuel in the carburetors and start the engine like that, and it would run.
Excuse the coughing from everybody, because
pollen count here is quite high.
Yeah, we've got a particular bush in the back garden that is just emanating a world of pollen, and it took you down for 2 days.
Oh, it wiped me out proper. I was in bed all day Monday. Which was a proper bugger, because Monday was one of my paid time off days this week.
So we actually have Rifle, James, in the chat. Yes, GR86 next month, if they've got a configurator online. If not, I think we should just do one of the Aston Martin ones, do like the DBX or something as the most recent one they've released, because why not? Just go through and we'll just roll a car. Can't be that many options on it. It should all be standard equipment, surely.
Well, I hear the done thing.
Aston.
I hear the done thing when you go to buy an Aston is you take the option list.
No, that was
it something else?
That was Rolls.
Oh, okay.
And that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you take your options list and you put it in front of you, and you line up all the check boxes down the side, and you get a ruler and you just draw a line through every single one of them in one nice neat go.
Because Haran just didn't have time. It's like, I want that one. You can't. It's the demonstrator. Oh, here's the options list, and she took a ruler
all of them.
and just went done.
Do you get my point now? Yeah.
The Amira is rated is number 2 in top.
Classic Britain is asking where the merch is. We have a strap for this.
Shop.pedalbox.show.
It is, but we have a strap for this. The strap.
I did put the Patreon up.
It is coming up across here.
Any minute now.
It's a little bit lower than that, actually. It's around here.
There we
go.
Shop.pedalbox.show. We have many things: mugs, t-shirts, hats, caps. I still need to get another cap. I should probably put that order in. Somebody buy a cap, and then I'll do a bigger order. And it won't be any cheaper, but I'll at least remember to do it, which is always beneficial. So yes, the Thunderbird is coming along pretty nicely with the fuel system back in. Turns out you can definitely clear out a fuel line with about 8 bar of pressure and a hose pipe.
Yep.
Because we took the compressor down and just blasted it through, put the hose pipe in, ran it through till it was clean and all the rest, and then put the air line down it again to make sure it was all dry, and it worked beautifully. And we know the tank holds water. It hasn't got any rust holes in the bottom, and we put a load of water in it. And
we don't know that it holds water. It holds fuel. Oh, we do know that it holds water. Yeah. I was going to say we know it holds fuel, but we did actually put water in it.
We took the better part of 4 gallons of horrible
Oh, it was
brown
awful.
varnish. I assume a lot of that will have been rust and stuff that was in there, but yeah, there was a lot of bad rust in that. It was
It
bad.
stunk as well.
And it stunk
was
of old
absolutely
fuel.
minging.
So now we need something to do with 4 gallons of old
So, babe?
fuel.
Other aid.
Ah, we got white night. Oh no, we got
No, different
it's
aid.
aid.
The other aid.
Other aid. Yeah, many aid. Yeah, so we need something to do with 4 gallons of fuel that isn't just burn it, because that seems bad. I guess you could probably dilute it down enough at like 10-1 and get rid of it in
Yeah,
combustion. I just don't want. Actually, to be fair, I could probably run it through one of the paint filters that I've got and get the crud out of it, but it'll still be varnishy.
I mean, to be fair, it is a 1960s American V8. It'll probably burn it as is.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put it in the Ace. Well, no, I wouldn't want to
I
put
would
it in the
definitely-
A6. It's a diesel. I
I
wouldn't want to
for
put it
one.
in anything else.
You're not going near any of my cars.
I was going to say, we could probably cut it into other fuel, like half a
The
gallon
Rover
at a
will probably be
time.
happy enough on it.
The Rover will probably take it if it wasn't so varnishy, but yeah, we'll use it to hide crimes.
Yeah. The other thing is, no, I would never endorse using it as weed killer. I could never say that out loud.
Yeah, that's
But-
doesn't work. It smells. It smells and
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Like I've done my fair share of environmental spills and it hasn't killed anything.
Lame. I mean, it probably
Except
works
for-
as a better weed killer if you light it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, fire is the ultimate weed killer. Just ask Monsanto.
Will the T-Bid suffer from the E10 issue? Not as far as we know. If it does, it'll just be like a little carb rebuild kit, some new rubber seals and stuff.
Yeah, so
Not that
the
big
E5, E10, E15, all of that jazz, mostly all it does is rot the old hose lines. But even the stuff that I bought from the Motor Factors locally had that problem when I fixed the Golf. And when we set the Golf on fire, it had exactly the same problem.
Oh, is that ethanol degraded?
Fuel line.
I thought it was just old.
Fuel. That was so when we when we set the Golf on fire, it had been so the Golf went out to the ring in 2015 with me and James and Ian. So it ran, and it was absolutely perfect. And it had not long been recommissioned before that when I lived at the place we're at now. And the fuel line split in exactly the same way, and even that fuel line was brand new when we built it in 2009.
See, I still find it really, really sad that
So it's
you
been
last
through-
drove the Golf within a year before me moving here.
Yeah,
And now I've been here 5 years and I'm about to move out. And it hasn't run. Well, like, it ran.
we
but,
drove
like,
we drove
yeah,
it down.
We
to,
drove it halfway to an MOT test and we all know how that went.
Yeah, yeah, but soon, TM.
Yeah.
But yeah, that hose, that rubber hose, is no more than probably 4-ish years old. So
F.
might have been 2000, and it did run in 2010. So it would have definitely been on the road to obviously 2010 through. Up
Not very
until-
old is the main thing, like less than
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, way less, and it just rotted through. And the first time it did it, it split and it sprayed all over the alternator.
Oh, God,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
like nothing caught fire. It just went, and I obviously stopped it.
Yeah.
And got new hose. And I bought brand new hose from a Motor Factors in Reading, and I thought that was it'll be fine. And apparently that hose was not capable of taking E5.
Well.
Yeah, so I think the next one, because
Oh, is the 944 sold?
as of today, handover happened today.
Wow.
I'm going to, Rive, with your blessing, I'm going to send the picture that you sent into our Autoholics Anonymous group to
That's annoying, 'cause
Yolanda.
I literally sent the Auto Trader listing to someone this morning who was
Oh,
looking
really?
for an interesting £5,000 car.
Oh, well, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to send that picture on to Yolanda, who can then put it on our lovely new screen. I say new screen. This is a screen that
This
I
is the one that we used to have up on there for chat.
Yes.
It's the one I used to be watching all the time. Like
yes,
this,
yeah,
all the
we
way through
fixed the
stream.
problem of us always starting by doing this, by completely obliterating the screen and just putting it over here.
Also, Wingdon makes a good point. We need to pour one out for Aston Martin's WAC program.
There we go. That is the 944 Golf at the Golf filling station somewhere. I don't know where you took it. I know you delivered it to the chap. I'll just flip it up on main.
I'll miss that car.
There we go. Yeah.
I never actually got to drive it, unfortunately.
No, I did a few times. Do you know what? You would have had more fun driving it than me because
you a
I
bit?
was.
I've heard from a few people that
I was all kneecaps in ears driving that. I was splaying, like, my knuckles basically hit my kneecaps every time I turned it, and you had to kind of have your legs around like this to do the pedals. So
I've heard more than a few times. Anyone the wrong side of 6 foot doesn't work in that car at
I
all.
could not heel toe that car at all because my legs, there was just too much leg basically. It did not work. But yeah, so the old 944 is gone from the channel, unfortunately. That is a bit of a shame, but it will still be our most viewed video for reasons that are beyond me. Literally has 2,000.
It's just Porsche fans.
It has
Porsche people, best people.
It has 2,000 more views than anything else on the channel.
A Discord I joined a couple of months ago, by the way, has basically been non-stop trying to convince me to buy that 944 off Rive. And I was like, I'd love to, but I've already got 2 ST1s and a Mark 1 Golf. I also don't have £5,000.
Yeah. So
I absolutely would have.
I did go through this for people the other week when obviously Rive was on because it was topical, but whilst you're here because you haven't seen it, so our top running videos at the moment, I just ruined that, are the exhaust and intake mods that we did on the 944. Obviously putting that exhaust on clearly helped the car go, with 5750-ish views, followed by...
Is it the... Hang on, which Rover one is it going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it the brakes?
First one that we did, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no, that was...
No, the first one we did was ignition and like...
Yes, it was ignition
larking
and
around the
the
corner.
absolute worst 0 to 60 quarter-mile runs you've ever
The least
seen.
consistent acceleration runs as well.
To be fair, that car allegedly
Maybe-
did 300 miles an hour, which was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
As it gibbed along the road with the GPS.
Wing on giving me shit. Maybe if I owned fewer British cars, I'd have more money. Weirdly, actually, most of my money isn't disappearing into British cars at the minute.
Yes.
That's a whole separate story. That's like a personal circumstances thing that I'm not going to get into. But no, it's actually not the cars.
Yeah. But yeah, so maintaining the SD1, the first SD1 video, as you might expect, is the top scoring video on that
It's
with
at
the
that
most
time,
views.
isn't it?
Followed by the MX-5 when we did the suspension on IDI's MX-5. So we need to get down on track with that at some point and test out those shocks.
I'm looking forward to like tracks and stuff again. I'm really looking forward to track days.
And then it's the Thunderbird.
Naturally.
The first episode, with the first main episode when we did the rear brakes on the Thunderbird. Again, you would kind of expect. So that kind of covers from obviously 5,700 at the top with the Porsche, falling instantly to 3,800. It's a 2,000 view drop, and then it's all sort of like 38, 38, 33. Then the Rover again at 2,300. Then the kit car.
Okay.
Then the kit car comes in 6th on the channel.
Which one's that?
Episode 1.
Wow.
The most underwhelming of all of our videos, where basically we sit in a car, drive it, don't show anything of the car, because when we had to re-record that episode, we had to re-record that first episode because it was so terrible, the first one, the audio was dire, it was a train
Am I right in thinking basically all of the in-car video from episode 1 was faked, if I remember right?
two-
Like
we
hardly
did it-
any of
we
it
did
was
it-
actually filmed on
We
the
did
drive
2
together.
days afterwards, yeah, because I edited it and went, this is awful, you can't hear us properly, so we had to rejig the audio plan and redo it. And we knew what we were saying, but it was just, oh god, we can't have this as the first episode, this is just the worst. So yeah, and then like everything after that was kind of legit, but it was 2 minutes of us going, hey look, we bought a thing, don't know what I'm going to do with it. Just keep watching. And apparently a bunch of you did, which was really nice. So yeah, that's the first one, and then...
Rive doesn't want to be reminded how much the 944s cost him. I know how much the Rovers cost me. It's about £9,000 so far, but like right now it's not.
And then PedalBox installs a PedalBox.
Oh god.
PedalBox installs the pedals into the PedalBox.
Yeah.
Is the next top video followed, and then the Golf makes
Punnery
an appearance
control
after
and like
that.
rapid continued fire thing.
Yeah, and then the original road trip to Roadkill in Zip Tie Drags. So yeah, it's
So there's your channel analytics breakdown.
yeah, it's kind of dull, really, and annoying, but it's what you have when you have a car that isn't anything
Excuse me, sorry.
at all. It's a mix of everything. Yeah. It's an Audi, Subaru, MG, Porsche, Alfa, Toyota,
Mini,
Arabu Mini.
I love I actually managed to miss Caterham out of all of that.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
and Land Rover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I missed Land Rover and Caterham. Oh well, never mind. And on a Haynes platform. Actually, here's an interesting one. The Haynes manual platform isn't actually built for a 3-link. Is it 3-link or 4-link rear suspension? No, not 4-link.
I thought it was a parallel 4-link.
Yeah, parallel 4-link. It's not built for that. The Haynes one is built for a Sierra, independent rear. So I've no idea what ours was at that point.
Fair enough.
But apparently, it might, to be fair, it could be that, admittedly, we got the first edition, which actually I happen to have here. The book that
Build
absolutely...
your own sports car for
The book
as little as £250.
literally-
It's a lie.
Yeah, the book that didn't start it all for us, because I bought this well after we were into the project. But this book in particular, I think might be. I can look, because it's
It
here.
is. Yeah, weirdly.
Um,
I mean, you can't grep paper, but...
Yes. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves for a moment. So this one is... this one is built for a parallel 4-link in these plans, but there is a reprint of this.
Right.
And I wonder if the ones that is branded Haynes, because this one is just Ron Champion, I wonder if the Haynes branded one
maybe.
is built for a Sierra.
So we don't have a Haynes Roadster chassis, we have a Ron Champion Roadster chassis.
Yeah, original, top tier,
So-
best.
At what point do you reckon it would be good to talk about, and in what order, the potential channel changes with me moving out, and 2, our ideas for what to do with my Mark 1, that has so far been off camera for the entire 4-year run of PedalBox?
Not true. Your Mark 1 is in episode 13 when we introduced the fleet, and we never
did I
talked
take the
about
cover
it
off
again.
it?
Nope, you sat on top of the
On
roof
the
of the
cover,
cover,
which,
yeah.
honestly,
You were just
is
like,
fair.
we're not going to look under here because it's a horror show.
It just makes me sad.
It's
It's-
probably also in that moment in episode 1 where you turn around and go, oh,
Oh, yeah,
Oh yeah,
in the background.
Yeah, but the herder is in that. So is
Oh,
Rowdy.
the Herder was so good.
The
I missed
herder is in that. Rowdy is in that. Which again, Rowdy never appeared on the channel until we sold it.
Oh, the folks are thinking of getting a cheap Renault, by the way. And like my first reaction was, "There's no such thing as a cheap Renault. Don't do this." And then I remembered the Herder.
So-
That actually joked. The only way to get a cheap Renault is paint it red and white.
So Yolanda made me sad earlier today when she told me that her folks sold their second car, her mum's car. It's a little Citroen C2.
C3.
It's a C3, so it's nothing amazing. But by the same token, there's always room for a convenient hit car with a known history in the world, especially when they We Buy Any card it. And as a result, they got £150 for a tax-tested, working, serviced car with a new clutch in it. Like, that's a travesty. I would have willingly had that if for no other reason than to keep my average up. Because at the moment, since I passed my test in
Whatever it was.
2003, up until 2020, I have averaged one car a year. I've owned cars for 5 years at a time, but somehow I've actually averaged one car every single year between there and 2020. So I need to keep my average up at least one. So I would have had that just for the purposes of having another car, even if it was just a flip for 50 quid extra and send it on to somebody who's in need of a car. I'm not looking to make a massive profit out of it, but I've got to keep my number up.
You just got to keep that.
It's got to keep my number up.
Yeah.
We even talked at one point about transferring the 944 into my name briefly
Just
on
so
the
that
way
you could-
through.
That feels a bit like that. Feels a
It's a
little
bit pushing it. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
like you have to actually
yeah,
own it and to some extent drive it
Yeah.
or something. Surely.
precisely. Like I'm not even counting.
Like the T-Bird, I'm allowing, even though you have not driven that,
Yeah.
because obviously that's still taking up your time. Like,
yeah,
so
precisely.
there has to be some time investment in some sense.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's never mind. It wasn't to be. It's gone now anyway, so it's no good, useless. But
All out.
yeah, that's me passing
God,
my
I
test.
feel old.
To be fair, I wasn't 17 when I passed my test. In fairness, I was.
I got to it quite late as well. I was like 20 or 21 or something.
I was 19. I started learning when I was 17.
I mean, don't get me
and
wrong, that does still leave you quite young.
Yeah.
But
So here's a fun one. My first instructor had a 1.6 Nissan Almera, first gen Almera that is, and we were driving it round, and for reasons that still baffle me to this day, the way he taught me to pull away, like I didn't know any better at the time because I'd never driven a car. But actually, no, I'd driven an A2 around Alton Park very briefly at an Audi day, but I did like 2 or 3 laps part way through having learned to drive. Actually, no, that was after I'd been in the Almera. Yeah, so my first experience driving a car was this 1.6 Almera, and let's ignore the brake for a minute. So that's all the way off the pedals, that's all the way down on the pedals. I know it's not 100% to scale. You'll have to apologise. I'll have to apologise
For the
the crudity of this this model. But he said, put a little bit of power on, yes, obviously with the clutch down, and then lift the clutch up till you find the bite point, and then hold it at the bite point. All good so far, and then keep accelerating on the bite point. Never fully engage the clutch in first gear. And you just kind of vaguely slip the clutch through first gear, and you only fully engage the clutch in second gear. Would you believe, one day I had a driving lesson booked, and he called me up and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it today because the clutch has gone in his car." How many miles had this Almira done from new? He got it.
I feel like doing that. It can't
drive.
be more than 10,000.
He got 30,000 miles out.
30 doing that. Jesus, that's kind of impressive.
And it was
like there's one time you want to do that, right?
Yeah.
There is actually a time when you want to do like a gradual clutch lockup with a lot of slip like that. It's when you're in a dragster.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
like that's it.
Yeah, that's literally it. But yeah, I was not launching down the strip. I was very, very much trying to get out onto A roads and B roads. And yeah, it was horrendous. So we stopped doing that for a while. And I went back to it. I'd also started looking at cars, for one, which I couldn't afford, and insurance, which was horrendously expensive, so I definitely couldn't afford anything.
Insurance here is horrible. I don't mean here, just here in the UK in general.
But it's the other way around now. So when I learned to drive, it was £2,000–4,000 whilst I was a learner, and then when I passed my test on a 1.4 Mark III Golf, it came down to about £1,060-ish. Now the flip side of that, that was trying to get insured on like a 1.4 Mark III Golf or something like that. No, nothing fancy. When my other half, when Yolanda, our vision mixer, went to learn to drive, she learned in the original pedal car, which I should still make that video at some point, which is a 1.8 turbo sport quattro Audi A3 3-door. Quite a desirable little car. 180 horsepower. The insurance on that, as a learner, was £750 a year.
To be fair, learner insurance is always cheap.
No, that's what I'm saying. When I learned, learner insurance was 2-4 grand, but now it's the other way round. And then when she came to pass a test and we tried to get insurance, it was £3,500 was the cheapest quote on the car. So it's flipped around.
My learner insurance was actually the same price. It was about £700,
yeah.
And that was in a 1.8 Fiat Marea estate. Ideal learner car, really small, nice and easy to get around corners, nimble. It was none of those things. It was because it was 1.8. Like it had enough.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't fast, but like it wasn't like it would do 100. And,
But my second driving instructor had another Almira, but it was the second gen Almira, and we were trying to find somebody that was tall. I'm 6'4", somebody with a big enough car. And they were like, "Oh, is he? Will he fit?" And we went, "What do you mean?" "Well, he's quite tall." Turns out my driving instructor was 6'8", so he was fine. So I learned in that, but it was a little bit weird when it comes to that. But yeah, I learned in 2003. I think I would have been 19, coming up 20. No, I to be fair, I passed in January 2013. Yeah. So yeah, I would have been 19 at the time. So
the first car I got a full insurance policy on was the Mark 1.
Right.
Now that, for anyone who doesn't know, and there's probably a few of you, is a 1.6 litre. So granted, like it looked at it in isolation, it's a fairly big engine, right? So that probably fed into it. But it's also a Mark 1 Golf cab. It's also on a 3-speed automatic, an old 3-speed automatic. And it's on carburetor. It's actually made only about 70 odd horsepower.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's at the crank or
that is still. It would have been at the crank. It would have been at the wheel. Sorry, no, it would have been at the crank.
Is that DIN horsepower, crank rated or something?
Yeah. So that's flywheel. What everybody in the UK and Europe still use. It's only America that use wheel horsepower as sort of like as quoted figures from manufacturers.
So that actually just makes them sound even more ridiculous then.
Yes.
Like, because all of the numbers are effectively deflated by that.
Yeah,
and they still have the 800 and something horsepower demon.
Yeah, precisely. So yeah, it's.
But yeah, that was £1,700 for a limited mileage. Back then, it was relatively cheap, like compared to what my mates were paying for like courses and stuff.
Yeah, so
because this was like boy racer.
So your 70 horsepower 1.6 in a Mark 1 that would have weighed, admittedly, a convertible. You're talking about
convertibles are a bit heavy. They're about 1,100 kilos somewhere around
there. You'd be barely on 1,050, something like that, give or take. My 1.4 Mark III Golf was 58 horsepower and weighed at least a quarter ton more.
Yeah.
I still had the better part of 100.
The heaviest ones were 970, so that'll have been the cab. The lightest ones were 790.
Oh yeah, the lightest ones weighed nothing.
Yeah,
I thought the
970.
I thought the cab was over a ton, but yeah, with the slush box.
I mean, it's close enough, but.
I mean, by the time you get you in it, you probably would have been 1050.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's damn. That's quite something. Oh well. Yeah, where were we?
I was asking, do we mention? I feel like we have to at some point.
Yes. So
Mark 1 golf plans.
Yes. So the plan is at some point. Do you want to move in a bit?
Yeah, I can do. Oh, I am right off the.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
I'll
yes.
in that way instead.
So the Mark 1 Golf needs something doing with it because it's going to be staying here longish term.
Yeah, I don't have anywhere to put it in Pembrokeshire.
Somewhere.
I've got room for an SD1, and that room's largely going to be taken up by the project. Not my red one, because that's not really a project anymore. Like that's largely done, apart from sort of the ongoing power stuff.
Mechanical, yeah.
But yeah, like it's a running daily driver.
Yeah.
The project is a V8 twin plenum. Vitesse E-Reg in black. It is the unicorn SD1. It's the one I mentioned on the on my Christmas episode where I was talking about my SD1s, my family history with SD1s.
Oh no, that was before the Christmas episode. The Christmas episode was.
It was around like relative to now. It feels like about Christmas time. But yeah, so that's that one.
We need to do more stories.
Just like the unicorn SD1.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I'm reshelling. I need to do a complete drivetrain transplant into a body.
I actually saw one of those, which I sent a picture to Yolanda when I was in London on a shoot the other week.
Yeah,
so
that's basically where my car bay that's what my car bay that I have is being allocated to.
Yes.
Which means the Mark 1, it's probably going to have to stay here. And I've basically been thinking about like... Oh, it's looking... Oh, yeah, I remember you sent me that link. It's a bit sorry for itself.
It's not looking so happy.
No.
It's
a bit of a postage stamp on the. Oh no, Yola's put it up on there.
Yeah, you can if you zoom the window in.
How do I do that?
Control and scroll wheel.
Yeah. Oh, there's no scroll wheel on that laptop.
Control plus.
Yeah, that should do it. There we go.
Yeah, that's not a happy looking SD1. That.
No, it was the V8. Allegedly.
Also, color coded bumpers.
Do you know what I saw? I was not sure about the color coded bumpers. It makes the.
The skirts are good. The Vitesse needs a skirt because the chin's too big.
Yes.
If you haven't got skirts on it.
If you haven't got this looks garbage.
It doesn't look garbage. It just looks a bit.
This looks fat.
It's just got too much chin because the chin comes down too far and too vertical.
To be fair, I'm not.
But the sills wrap in.
I'm not a fan of the chin. The big chin on it. I can't.
I think it works well on the black ones. I don't like it on a red one. I don't like it.
I mean, it's just not so hot. And the fact that it's got a color coded bumper. But then black trim down the side is also not doing well for us.
So, actually, Yola, if you do a quick web search
let's accept that this is potentially a work in progress.
It fucking better be.
What am I searching?
But
if you search for E277 DPG, one of the top Google image results should be animal. Not animal today. This is animal a long time ago. I'm just waiting for this to...
You mean the one where...
There should be a red and a black one. Out inside.
SD1 family on PedalBox.
Oh really? Oh yes, it would have come up on PedalBox.
No, not an image search result. It won't.
Yep.
Yeah.
What? How? The
It'd
thumbnail?
be the thumbnail from the video.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And that was Wheatley 8. Oh, hang on. That's like pop back. There is actually on Google image search. There's a photo of it in like.
Top left.
Oh no, there we go. That's what if I...
What? Try it as one word? I use this. I use exactly this method to find this picture of this car all the time.
No.
You dropped a 7 and
7 delete.
Yeah.
7.7.
Enter.
What?
There's lots of Dell.
How is
monitors.
your Google image search different from mine?
There's lots of Dell images there.
So go us. Apparently we can't like put a picture on the screen.
Solid work.
Yeah, go team.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, like that's taking up my carbo space. So it means I've tried to figure out like a lower effort thing that I can do with my Mark 1. Because the reality is, it's been written off ever since the fire. And Aid knows what I mean with the fire.
Yes, we need to do a proper story on that.
Yeah. So Aid's workshop, when I rolled it into Gen Power after it lighting up in the McDonald's drive-through, and you soaked the engine bay with water, it turns out the ABC fire extinguisher powder that they put in there reacts quite badly with water, and it turns into something quite horrible. And the engine bay was basically toasted.
Yeah.
Forever broken. But also, like, the motor was kind of screwed anyway. Like, it had blown at least one oil ring somewhere, and like pressure was getting into the oil. It was pumping oil out of every seal on it. Like the engine was toasted. It wasn't worth fixable.
Yeah.
Like it's an 8-valve, 1.6 on carbs. Like there's millions of them around. They're impossible to make power on. They're just they're not worth anything in any way.
Yeah.
So I yeet the engine and I got.
Weirdly, that gearbox still is. Sorry.
Yeah. How is
on.
the gearbox worth money? It's terrible.
I'm gonna find this hilarious thing whilst you're recanting that.
So yeah, so a while ago I picked up a new 16-valve engine for it, a 1.8. VAG nerds will know it as the KR. So that's, I think, out of a Mark 2 or 3 GTI. Not the 2-litre that was in later Mark 3s. It's about 130-odd horsepower engine. It bolts in really, really easily. It bolts onto the same transmissions. I've got an ECU and everything for it as well. The problem is, one day I took that engine apart. I never did put it back together.
Yeah, yes.
I probably still have.
I think we still have the video of taking that apart, actually, in a never edited,
never made it to screen episode of PedalBox.
early episode. Yeah.
I feel like I did that before we were actually doing PedalBox.
Yeah,
like we wanted to do something video-y, so I think we shot it, but I don't think. Yeah.
It was one of the early episodes as an interesting thing to do, and we just kind of never edited. I actually can't even think that I have it kicking around anymore. Wow,
so my KR is probably also dead. Even if I do still have all the parts, like all of the individual parts have been sat exposed
you like
to the
to
elements.
buy a KR
No,
ready
you
to
wouldn't.
assemble?
Some assembly required.
Yeah.
So that's also a write-off. But I do have, and this is like we're starting to get a little bit weird here, but it kind of makes sense in my head in a sick sort of way. In my mind, I owe the universe for what we've done with our kit car project. We've put a heavy cast iron turbo VAG engine in the back of what is really supposed to be like a lightweight sports car kind of deal. Like, it's a sort of thing that you're supposed to put an aluminium engine. Like, ignoring the fact that we put it in the back, not the front. I can look past that. So we put an iron block turbo engine in the back of what should be an aluminium free revving naturally aspirated car. And I feel like I feel like I owe the universe one now. So my parents, my brother, my family, us as a blob, we have a spare Rover K series, which is a revvy, lightweight aluminium 4-pot. And it's had the head gaskets done before you all go, oh, head gaskets in the comments, shut up. It's had the head gasket done, so it won't pop.
And why did it have it done?
It's a new engine.
Well, it's because it's popped.
It literally never even run and it's managed to pop it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking, like, we already know roughly what's involved in putting an engine that shouldn't be in a car.
Yeah.
Like, we've done that on our track car project. So I'm thinking, screw it, I'll just put the K series in the front of the Mark 1. It's a crazy light little engine, it revs to the moon, it sounds amazing, it makes decent power, and it's just a barrel of laughs. And it feels like a good way to try and sort of get a bit of karma back.
Now, I don't want to put you off this.
Yeah.
But a Golf Mark 1 automatic cabrio is currently listed on Auto Trader for 20 grand.
I suspect that has an engine in it, though.
It does.
And it probably has all straight panels.
Yeah, it is.
And it probably has intact panels.
It is in very good nick.
Mine is none of
admit.
those things.
Yeah.
Mine has rust holes everywhere. The rear right corner where the light cluster fits in and everything, and sort of around the fuel filler on the side of the rear 3/4, and even the boot mouth. It's got like a little flappy uppy boot on the back of it. All of that has been punched in where I fell asleep on the motorway driving it back from a very aptly titled LAN party called Insomnia.
Now, to be fair, not
To
want
be
to
fair.
not want to toot my own horn here too much, but
Yeah.
I think I could probably do the welding on that with a patch panel. Having seen
Possibly.
having seen what I managed to achieve
It's-
on the kit car and what I'm going to have to achieve
Yeah.
on the old Thunderbird
And like
coming
honestly, the standard that I'm holding that car to now is because the engine caught fire and has like kind of manked up a lot of the bay, so it needs a new engine, and the body's knackered, and the hood is knackered, and the interior is mostly knackered, and a lot of the metal that it had originally was knackered even before I crashed it. Like
was
it's not
not
in
a-
good shape.
It was not a precious car.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. So I'm not holding our work here to a high standard.
Hello, everything cars and more.
So, I'm quite happy to accept like janky, manky, disgusting work, and I'm thinking, screw it. A new hood properly installed is like 2.5 grand. You can get them cheaper, but you start like compromising a fair bit on quality.
Yeah.
I'm like, bugger it. I'll just remove the hood.
Yeah,
Just make it a speedster.
So the plan is to turn this into a 1.8 K series
Yeah.
speedster Mark 1 Golf at
Yeah.
some point when we get a bit more space on the driveway.
Yeah. So we remove the roof completely, just seal over. I don't think there's even any gaps into the body or anything. I think it's a clean body line around it, so we
I
shouldn't even
believe
have
so.
to.
I mean,
yeah.
still, again, tooting one's own horn.
We can
um,
probably, yeah, you can probably.
I'm
base
pretty
that.
certain I can fab something up.
Yeah. So yeah,
I-
roofless
I-
speedster Mark 1 Golf
I
with
must
the
have-
Rover engine in it.
I must admit, I'm quite relishing the not quite Turing completeness of the household with my welding skills as well as
Yeah.
they have come on welding skills. They're
I-
certainly not good, but they have come on a long way since we built the frame rails on that chassis
Yeah.
and added
Oh
them.
God,
we,
yeah.
we look back at some of those and go, should we grind them out and put them back in
Yeah.
again? It's
So
like,
unfortunately, we just kind of can't.
they look ugly, but they are functional. They still work. Like nothing's moving. We see no cracks developing in them. They're actually good welds. They just look horrendous.
Yeah.
See, this is where I found out about
But-
penetrant testing at work.
Yes.
Now I need to go.
Yes, my other half works for a company who do things and stuff, and they have to test welds. So she can tell me how bad my welds are if we were to ever let
I don't
them
think we're
anywhere
actually
near it.
allowed to say what the company
Nope.
is, are we? But you can infer from that. Like that's fine.
They do things. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You're making it
serious
sound way
things.
worse than it is.
Serious
And more
things.
interesting than it is.
It's a lot more interesting. Than
The
it is.
company is interesting. Whatever you think of your job.
Yes.
I have my issues with the company, but it is an interesting company.
Okay, 1 second. So
How
everything-
would you make sharp creases?
Yeah, so everything Cars and More commented on the video I put up last week about the body panels and things.
I think I saw the comment.
And he had
yeah.
some questions. I was like, we do Q&A on this, and we don't get enough Qs, so we can't do enough As.
Which means we usually just ramble.
Which is why we just ramble, and have been rambling for the last, I can't even see what the time is,
while.
43 minutes.
Go us.
This is the content you all love. So yes, to make sharp creases on a body panel, depending on how you want to do it, I would go with, if you want to make really, really sharp stuff in a straight line, obviously that's easy to some degree with a sheet bender. We have a 60 centimetre, sort of 2 foot long one that I got from
eBay, wasn't it?
I think it was actually.
Yeah.
It was no, it wasn't eBay. It was oh god, who had it in? It was in stock somewhere for some reason.
I feel like it
don't
must have
know
been
why
Machine
they
Mart if
had
it was a
in.
brick and mortar.
No, it was
Too
like
big,
Lidl
sorry.
or Aldi or something like that had one in, and I have no idea. No, it was Argos. That was it. It was a weird place, and I was like, I have no idea why you have this in stock, but it was the cheapest one. It was cheaper than eBay because they had some offer on as well. So it was
That
like,
must have been an error somewhere. Like a supplier just accidentally sent them a bunch of
Accidentally.
metal benders.
Yeah, I mean they do tools, but that's a weird one for them to have.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had an English wheel in, then I'd have massive questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of those is the best way to get a really nice sharp edge, and then once you've got the sharp edge on, you can use a plenishing hammer and a die in the back or a dolly or something, and you can tap it and make it a really nice sharp crease.
I don't think it gives you a sharp, straight crease though, does that? Like by the
Yeah.
time you're hammering it, it's always going to be a bit wavy,
Well,
but
I was gonna say-
it's also like visibly rolled over. It's always going to have radius to it.
I was going to say, this is the other thing. You always want to, you don't want it completely sharp because you wouldn't get it through the SVA. You have to have a 2.5mm radius on all
I-
edges everywhere.
I feel like on that, like it.
Well,
depends where
if
it
was-
is, basically.
If you had an absolute crisp thing like
yes,
that,
on that
yeah,
much.
so you still need a 2.5 mil radius around on any any creases, any panel edges, anything like that. It has to have that radius on it, which isn't problematic because actually having a razor sharp edge is very, very difficult to achieve and keep and paint because you're trying to paint around an edge which will inevitably round it. And...
I think the only way you can actually get a sharp crease like OEMs have, like the creases that you have down your A6. That's obviously not a 2.5 mil shouldered thing.
No,
it's a sharp crease, right? But it's a shallow enough angle. There's no like danger or anything to it.
Yeah.
But that sort of thing you only get by like pressing into a die.
Yeah.
But you need like relatively high pressure for that. You need like a big hydraulic press, and I don't think you're easily going to do that on a long piece of material.
If you're bending something up like that, it is just folding it. But if you're trying to get a sweeping curve or anything, which is why I've tried to avoid that sort of stuff as much as possible.
It's why our car is the shape it is.
Yeah, it's the reason that it has the sweeping lines that it does. The curves are all on the edges where we can join panels together or roll over a framework underneath to keep everything simpler to do. And when we weld the panels together right at the edge, we've got a backing underneath it, so it's not necessarily going to blow through. It does have something to form to get the edges right up against, and we can fill in and sort of shape it that way. But that is basically the only way that I can do it. I have thought about putting a crease in, but the only way I could think to do it was to make a flat panel and then make an additional panel with an additional framework and then you're building over, and then actually you're only doing it for the sake of the design. You're not really getting much out of it in our instance, so I decided not to do it. But invest in some dollies, not dollies, dollies.
Dies.
No,
Dollies for what? To put behind a panel?
Hammer and dolly. Get a round nose hammer, a square sort of round nose, which is normally on the same one. It's the one that we have. I have a pick one, which has got like a very sort of light point that goes down and flat on the other end, and a good flat-faced ball peen hammer as well for when you need a little bit more welly behind it, and then a set of the dollies. And I got mine actually on Facebook Marketplace, I think, for about a tenner. But
dollies are dollies, they're just lumps of metal. So
a full set of new ones with normally 2, possibly 3 hammers and the 4 dollies I've seen for less than 30 quid. And the best thing I can...
I have googled.
Oh yeah, how much?
Did you Google for Chinesium though, or did you get nice English branded stuff?
Clark do them.
Yeah, how much is a Clark set?
$46.79.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, that's...
Which is 7 pieces, so that's...
I mean, granted, it's not less than 30, but it's not exactly breaking the bank.
It's around about the 30 mark that I've seen them for on eBay.
I think really, actually, the answer to everything Cars and More's question, the ultimate answer is it depends on what exactly you mean by sharp creases.
Yeah, it depends on the curve, it depends on the panel, it depends on the crease, and it depends on the tools. The other way to do it, to get a sharp crease in something, if you can get it through, is with a bead roller.
So even a bead roller doesn't put a sharp crease in. Well, it depends on what you mean by sharp.
Yeah, I'm going with the minimum radius, like as you would normally get folded into something. So for something like that you would see on an OEM, you can make those creases with a set of dies with a bead roller. And a bead roller is about 150-ish pounds on eBay, give or take. And that will allow you to do deep flanges, angle cuts, and folded, round noses, all that sort of stuff. But it will only allow you to go normally about 18 inches, maybe a little bit more than that, deep into a panel. So again, it depends on the size of your panel. But yeah, that's it. So everything's just saying he's doing an electric GT car if we want help. I mean, I'm happy to sort of meet up and like lend some knowledge from what we've discovered with this, because by God, we've learned some things doing this.
We're still idiots, but we're a lot more well-learned idiots than we were 4 years ago.
Yes, disclaimer, I am an idiot. I am absolutely an idiot. I have learned things whilst being an idiot. Yeah.
Is the laptop screen working yet, Yola? I
yeah.
think I just fixed that.
Cool. Okay, right.
We'll see. Yeah, whenever.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a sec. But yeah, so yeah, happy to like have a look at plans and things and see. I mean, by the same token, I've literally never drawn the car that we're building. at any point. Chris, up until last year, didn't know what the body was going to look like, and even then he wasn't
I still
here.
don't, to some extent.
Yeah, he wasn't here because COVID, and I just started putting things together and building framework and didn't put any panels on, and eventually he kind of got the, oh, right, okay, now I kind of get it.
Yeah,
But
once
it's
I had that
taken some
skeleton
time.
on it, I could kind of...
You can visualise
No,
a bit.
imagine
And
it
we've
a
still
little.
changed various bits. It's still got no roof line really properly in down the back of the car, although I have got some bits made up for an upcoming episode on that. But yeah, it's... no one knows how to body... Nope, not anyone at all, other than me, and I can't describe it or draw it because I suck.
I mean, to be fair, actually, Winged One has a point. We don't know how it will look.
Yeah,
You
to be
know
fair.
what you think it's going to look
Yes,
like,
I-
but it's
yeah.
still subject to change.
Yeah, basically.
Like what's in your head is not a complete.
Yeah, there's a reason I
comprehensive,
started from the
hero
back.
models design and stuff.
Because the back worked. The back, I had a good plan and a
Yeah.
couple ideas, and
And-
even that ground to a halt.
And I
when
really like
reached
how that's turned out
the
as well.
roof.
That sort of GT40 style car for the back is.
Yes, yeah. Yes, so that was
Form die and a
as
fly
as
press. I think a form
as
die
Ed
is
says.
a form die. I think is the correct name
Yes.
for what I was thinking about
Yeah,
earlier. I'm not
basically
sure what a
that.
fly press is though.
A fly press is a big weight on the end that you kind of swing around and you push, and it goes across like that. So you can use it to like crimp an edge. So that's a fly press.
Oh, right. So the fly press is what you'll put the forming tool in to get your.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've just done a Google
So yeah,
image search.
that is another way to do it. But by the same token, you could achieve something very similar with the I forgot the name of it already.
It turns out it's DuckDuckGo that has the SD1 photo
Not
Okay.
that I was looking for.
press break. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
The bead roller. Yeah, so the bead roller would achieve the same, and the other one for forming panels, again, depending on what you're making them out of, is an English wheel. I thought about using an English wheel. You're really supposed to start any aero car from the front. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you're
you're not,
supposed to, but
you
you're also
are-
supposed to put the engine on on a
Yes.
Haynes Roadster in the front.
I
You're
think
also
it's-
supposed to put an aluminium engine in it. You're
Yeah.
also supposed to do a live rear axle.
And aluminium bodywork.
You're
and,
also
and-
not
yeah.
supposed to go closed wheel, and you're also not supposed to have a windscreen.
Yeah.
Well, little
Yeah.
main
Yeah,
windscreens
basically all of
notwithstanding.
those things.
We have utterly ignored the rules.
I
on
think
this.
Winged One would probably agree with me when I say we've gone at this ass backwards, and
Yeah, he does actually say
Why
to be fair, it's
stop?
not like we've done the proper process
Yeah.
for anything else.
Yes.
So
yeah, the
that?
organic
Like,
forming of this has been significant. Let's say this has not been that well planned, but yeah, definitely, you can basically make any body panel you want at home without the need for an enormous press or anything like that with the following things: a bead roller and an English wheel. And that's
Yeah,
that's
just an
all
English
you
wheel.
need. The problem with that is those two tools are the better part of 500 quid and about 200 kilos and this much room for the English
Yeah.
wheel to be able to
This-
get anything sensible through it. Hang on.
yeah.
And even if you buy one, you're still going to have to put it on a bench and brace it so that it doesn't spring apart and all of this stuff. If you want a really, really good video, if you haven't seen it already, which to be fair, it will be really right up your street. Sorry, I have no idea what your name is. I'm just going to have to keep calling you everything. Seems bad, but it's cool.
Dox yourself in the comments.
Yes, yeah. Feel free to not. Everything is still perfectly reasonable. Check out Macro Machines on YouTube because he's building an aluminium speed tail from the ground up, and he's built a chassis from nothing. He's putting a Jaguar 2.4 litre straight six from like an XK 120, 140, something like that. It's mated to. You'll love this. So it's a Jaguar 2.4 engine with a Ford flathead V8 bell housing
As you do.
onto a Chevy T5 transmission.
Sounds like I
And
don't know who would mix manufacturing like
Yes.
that in one project. Jeez, why would you do that?
But he's custom machined himself all of the connecting parts to join all of this mess of things together.
Yeah.
He's done all of the bodywork himself, and he was where I sort of learned to do. I mean, I haven't done any English wheeling, but I learned all of the theory of English wheels from him making his panels up, and he's rolled them all out and done everything and talked through it. Really, really good. Well, he's at uni in America, so he's under 21.
Another
This
one that
isn't
I'd
even
recommend.
this isn't even his first hilarious scratch build project. He also built a tank.
Nice. I mean, to be fair, we're not talking like Challenger 2 here, but still. Another one that I'd recommend, and I was actually pointed this way by Tommy, the guy who did the paint and bodywork on the Rover,
Yes.
is a channel called Trev's Blog
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah. You told me that one. That was good as well.
And because my bunged up nose probably makes that difficult to parse, Trev's Blog, as in the blog that belongs to Trevor.
Yeah. Trev's blog.
Yeah. On YouTube. That I'll be honest, I didn't watch much of it because I'm not doing a lot of the panel beating on this car.
Yeah.
Like, Aid had enough of a jump start on panel beating experience that I've just kind of left it as his problem.
Yeah.
But the little bit that I did watch, your problem being the, like, deliberately chosen
the
word
crux
there.
of everything.
Yeah. But from what I saw, his channel's also really good. But he goes into, sort of panel welding and all sorts of, like, general bodywork kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah, so there's a few good ones, but I would definitely recommend watching through the build. I mean, it's not done yet, but he's done all sorts of cool stuff. Like his steering wheel is made out of a circular saw blade that he's cut out to have sort of 4 spokes in and machined all the stuff. It's just really, really well done. And he's got a couple of really interesting engineering problems where you're trying to machine faces that are off axis to one another but still flat and bored through the middle and all sorts of interesting things for the boss that holds the steering wheel. But yeah, definitely check that one out for panel beating, because everything he does in aluminium is exactly the same in steel, just heavier. I'd also recommend, unless you can already TIG weld, even if you're doing a lightweight EV GT car, steel is your friend. Even if you get to the point of, oh, I'm going to make all these body panels and do all this stuff, do it in steel because it's incredibly forgiving. And then make them again in alley if you want to, but it's way easier if you can already TIG weld, crack on.
But yeah, it's really easy to mess about with with steel welding.
Yeah, it's way more forgiving and flexible when it comes to, oh, I didn't want to put that bend in there, I just want to move it half an inch further back. Let me just flatten it back out and move it down this bend just a little bit. We've done that a couple of times with small bits of steel, and it's worked perfectly and it's not been a problem. And whereas the aluminium, you bend it over a nice tight 90-degree corner, you bend it back, you probably cracked the brake and you've ruined the piece, so you have to start over on that bit. So yeah, even I've thought, if I wasn't welding all of the skin on, do it in steel and then I could remake it in aluminium. The fact of the matter is it's going to be welded on and there's going to be a few aluminium panels on, and I'm going to have to either find a friendly TIG welder, which I probably can, or use some other fixing method, pop rivets or whatever, to build it as a temporary thing and then move on, or maybe bond it to steel
Potentially,
for Gen 1.
The I think there's a fun trade-off to be had, right? Like, the more chassis stiffness you have, the better. There's almost never any way around that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this is the
Gordon
other
Murray,
benefit.
having designed the McLaren F1,
Yeah.
stiffest chassis in the world at its time,
Yeah.
is now very, very pleased with how the T50's going, because he's managed to increase the chassis stiffness even more. So, like, even when your starting point is the F1, there's still
There's still
point
win.
improving.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, torsional stiffness through the chassis is really, really good to keep high. Weight is obviously good to keep down, but as far as I can tell, if you're like south of a ton, you don't have to do any nonsense to make the car handle well.
Yeah.
It's not until you're like properly heavy that you start needing all of the weird tricks that modern manufacturers are doing.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if the extra stiffness that we have through having basically a welded, stressed skin, because a lot of a Lotus 7 strength is from the skin being bonded on.
Yeah.
So it's part of the strength of the
because they're normally
bodywork.
the side panels are normally bonded on and then pop riveted on purely to keep the seal there whilst the bond is curing.
Yeah.
At the bottom of our so when we got our chassis, the floor had already been welded in, but it had been welded and then seam sealed in. So in some places there was bonding around the edges of it to make it watertight.
Yeah. So you're getting basically shear transfer through the entire tub, and we're going to have a lot of that. Like our chassis, to begin with, just the skeleton that we had. We don't have a jig. Like, I'm not going to tell you how many Newton meters per degree it was. It's probably quite a few.
We cut a lot of strength out of that chassis.
Yeah.
There was a point at which.
Well, no, but what we have now, I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
But
But it's more we had to put a lot back in.
Yeah.
From what we removed. taking
But what we've put
the
back in
tunnel out
is
was-
bigger, heavier material spaced further out.
Yeah.
And as a rule of thumb, if you take the same material and put it on like larger sandwiches, effectively, like whatever face you're doing shear transfer across, if it's bigger, you tend to get more strength out of
Are you
it.
saying that a sandwich made out of a wrap is more structurally integral than a
I am
sandwich
not going
made
to
out
get
of a
into.
lump?
I am not going to get into food theory on this channel. I've done structural analysis of sandwiches before. It is a road I do not want to go down.
But yes,
like
this
being
is-
serious, like so we've got bigger material spaced further apart. So like we've got way more stiffness in the metal skeleton of our car than the 7 ever originally had. And we're also welding steel onto it, so that's providing, like, if you imagine a square of material anywhere on the car, like down the side of the car or something, and you've got just the box sections, it can still kind of do this, like your welds and the metal can still sort of spring about.
Yeah.
But if you put a plate of metal over the whole
if-
thing and
hang
it's
on, go for the
attached all the way around.
intermediate. Go for the intermediate beyond that. If you put a brace across it this way, it's not going to parallelogram, but these corners can
still-
feasibly move
yeah.
because you can cross brace it, and that you've improved
Yeah.
it again.
But
these can still feasibly flex in and out that way.
Yeah.
At which point, how far do you go? If
Yeah.
you put a plate across it, as Chris is saying,
Yeah, you've now got it so that none of the pieces of metal in the entire outer structure are able to bend in any way or to bow in any way. The whole thing can still twist, right? You can still get that kind of distortion through it. Like the plating won't fix that.
As
But
Wayne
yeah, you
once
do
says,
pick up a huge amount of
torsion-
torsional stiffness. Yeah.
or why race cars basically always use V engines.
Not following.
I'm
Oh, is it
presuming
because the V
they-
engine's squatter and the
it's-
engine has
yeah.
more torsional stiffness along its length?
And
Yeah.
you can use it as a structural component because of how it.
Oh,
how it
I was
looks.
thinking like crank torsional stiffness for that one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes,
so because it's something like for a given strength of material, if you have the length of a crankshaft, you can double the torque it can hold along its length or something like that.
we need
Because like if you take an infinitely long crankshaft, you can can turn it by hand.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that might be what you're getting.
But yes, so that's the thing. Adding there's a
Yeah,
lot
sorry.
to be said.
What I was getting at is the welded steel panels are going to give us a huge amount of strength.
there's a lot to be said. If you're going to make a very lightweight chassis, you can get away with putting a huge amount of strength back into it by not having a glass fibre, carbon or aluminium skin attached to it and welding your skin on, and you will make huge wins down that line. Now, that's not to say that that's what we went into this planning, because we absolutely didn't. We went into this going, hey, that's a chassis. Oh, let's cut out all the bits we don't need. By doing that, we chopped all of the triangles off the very front, so it kind of had a bit of twist to it. Then we chopped the midsection out where the pedal box was, where there was some cross braces going down into the transmission tunnel, as would be, which gave it a lot of twist. Then we removed the entirety of the transmission tunnel and all of the diagonal beams across the back where the seats are, which gave it an enormous amount of flex, to the point where if you lifted one corner of the car on the back, you could absolutely see the twist in either end.
Yeah, the car
like
twisting
that.
along its
It
length.
was horrendous. When we did it, we were just like, oh god. You could actually wobble the front of the car up and down about 2 inches each side, and the back was on the ground at the other side.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Well,
if you had it like
the good
lifted up
news
with a
is
jack on one.
you can save more weight then, 'cause you don't need an anti-roll bar
Yeah,
because the
you don't
body
have
just
to-
conforms
yeah.
to the road.
So yeah, that's a good way to do it. But obviously, we put the majority of all of the stiffness that we took out by doing that, we put back in when we put a cage on the top. So there was a lot of stiffness went back in there, and now with the panels on, I mean that 10mm tube that we've used, it's pipe work for what is it? It's actually tubing for HVAC, tubing for sort of like coolant flow and things like that. So it's meant to be very malleable and easy to bend. And you can just put it around your knee and just bend it and get a really nice bend through it. It doesn't take much force at all to bend it and to shape it into what you want, which is really good. Especially if you're then going to put a big skin over it and stop it bending anymore, because you put all of the strength back in, but you have a nice, easy to work with frame underneath. So, yeah, that's definitely some advice
So
for-
that's actually
for
just
doing things
reminded
like
me.
that.
You talking about like
Yeah.
easy to bend materials. There's a YouTube channel called Stuff Made Here. Now he recently he
Sorry.
started making a lot of like mean crap.
He's in Filbert.
Oh god.
Someone near Filbert is
You don't
selling a
need
locust.
space for a low cost. They're
No,
tiny.
they're
Just
tiny.
like hang it up somewhere.
Just build it in the house and
Yeah.
then knock a wall down and take it out. You'd be fine. What could possibly go wrong with that?
Yeah, you take it in one piece at a
Yeah.
time, Chuck Berry style.
Yeah.
Build it in your front room. Knock a window out. You're done.
Yeah.
Just lift it. No big deal.
Just lift it
I
out.
feel
Um,
like I should start like a support channel for like partners of petrol heads.
Petrol.
Nah.
Well, I mean, we kind of have that. We have Autoholics Anonymous, which we should probably change general chat in the PedalBox one too.
Yeah.
We should just steal that off our old Messenger group chat for a bunch of us and just co-opt that into the general. Hello. Every time you
Yeah.
introduce yourself, or just have an introductions channel.
Oddly enough,
called-
that's what Weird Car Discord was like for its first day. Hi, I have an XYZ problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, can you make a new channel on the Discord called Introductions?
I can,
As the
yeah.
introduction channel called Autoholics Anonymous.
I still need to write PedalBot actually. Whenever someone joins, it can actually ask them.
Yes,
You know, send
and
a
put
little
it in.
message
This
and-
person is because then you can take whatever they say in the first one, put it into
Yeah.
a list, and then go, "Who is this?" and have it regurgitate their first response into that.
Yeah. Sorry. So
I have 1 space and 3 vehicles. Ah, Filbert, welcome to my world. I
mean-
have been there. That was why I didn't buy a £300 Skyline.
oof. The good
Yeah.
news is that the low cost is only half a vehicle.
Yes,
Less if you're counting by weight. It's like a third of a vehicle by
Honestly,
weight.
that-
So
that
£300 Skyline.
It still haunts me.
Oh.
Like
What type of Skyline was it? Like what?
It was
variant?
It was a 4-door R34. Sorry, 4-door R33.
GTT, GT.
No,
I don't know what the
non-turbo.
suffixes all are. Right.
Non-turbo. So
Okay, so
it
to be
was-
fair, it's not like it's a
it
particularly.
wasn't a unicorn or
I mean,
anything like that.
it's worth more than £300 now, granted, but it's not like it was a super rare one or
the
anything.
boot leaked like a sieve. But yeah, it was Pemby had it.
Is this a bit like Johnny's Sky Barge?
Yeah, that was the Sky Barge.
Oh, it actually was the Sky
Yes,
Barge.
yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, that was the Sky Barge. I was going to buy it off Johnny before he sold
damn.
it, but I literally didn't have the space for it. When he was getting rid of it, I had the Golf, my daily. What was my daily at the time? I had my then other half's
Was the
car
Mazda
as
Gavs
well.
or yours? Because I know he drove it
Mazda
for a
was
while.
Gavs.
Oh, it actually was Gavs.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was 3 of us in the house. Me, Johnny, Hev.
Sorry, I'm just going to duck out one moment because I
and-
need to make disgusting noises.
Yeah, I'll just I'll just try and recant this together. Yeah, so we had the Golf, my daily, which I honestly can't remember what my daily was at the time.
Wasn't
The
the Passat, was
the
it?
barge, the Focus, the barge and the Focus were Johnny's, and the Puma. I know the Puma wasn't there at the same time, but then we also had a Polo as well. So I had 2 spaces and 5 cars on a fairly small development that didn't have enough parking generally. So yeah. Well, just do you know what you could do, Phil? You could transplant the MR2 engine into the back of the Locust chassis. I mean, to be fair, Chris knows somebody who's done that into the front of a Locust chassis, but you can always follow us down the madness route and put it in the back because that is an engine that we considered doing.
Now, apropos of nothing, what's the plural of teaspoonful? Is it teaspoons full or teaspoonfuls?
You could just go up in measurements to tablespoons.
Yeah, right, fair point. So that is what I would measure what just came out of my face
Lovely.
in it. You're welcome.
Health. Do you want to move the off the
Oh,
table?
yeah, sorry.
God damn.
I don't know why I've even brought it
Animals.
back. It's not like I'm going to blow my nose in here next time I
Yeah.
need to... Whatever.
But yeah, so yeah, that's the that was the state. That's why I didn't buy the Sky Barge. Sadly, that's another PedalBox Stories. Is the one that got away, the barge that got away. Yes, Stephen. Stephen makes a very good point. Now, to be fair, Stephen, my other half can read the chat and is indeed the one typing on behalf of PedalBox. So So yeah.
I think that might be a little bit what happened.
1966 Thunderbird.
Yeah.
And you make her fall in love with it.
Yeah, basically that's exactly how the Thunderbird went down, because I saw that advertised on Unfinished Project UK on Facebook, and I have threatened to go through some of their stuff, and we'll like look at some of the madness and what you could do and some of the good stuff that comes up on there on our chat. So if you'd like that, throw in the comments that you'd like to see that, and we can do like half an hour of just like, look at this, that'd be amazing. What would you do with that? And we can just bench race some projects.
Now, Philbert has just made me question whether he should abandon any of his fleet. Like, the Works Berlingo obviously is what you should send to the scrapyard.
Yeah.
But actually, when the competition's an MR2 and a T25, it's like, honestly?
There's nothing there.
I don't, like, MR2s are just good.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter what MR2 is.
I think Philbert's is, I want to say Philbert's is a Mark II from what he's told me, but I could be wrong. It might be Mark 1.
Now, I don't know Philbert that well, but he seems like a Mark III type.
No, Philbert, no.
Okay. I did say I don't know.
I'm sure Philbert was a Mark 1, Mark 2. Like, White Knights.
No, I'm not saying I know the car. I'm saying, like, based on Philbert.
It is a Mark 3, is it?
I'm not even going to take credit for that, because it was a complete asspull.
Honestly, I've been in a lot of MR2s, and they just blur together.
The Mark III is the light. Apparently you've been in it as well.
Yeah, I absolutely don't doubt it. I'm going to say it's black.
Most Mark III MR2s are black, I think.
Yeah. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. Mark III MR2s can actually look amazing. I'll be honest, the Mark III
Hang on,
is...
actually, that's a good point, which is...
Standard, the Mark III is my least favourite MR2, but it is immensely moddable.
Right,
Like,
no.
immensely moddable.
Yes, I do remember it now. No, yeah. It was, White Knight had the Mark II, and I think he had a Mark 1 before that.
Mark II is my favourite MR2. But yeah, the Mark III, there's some absolutely amazing kits for the Mark III.
Yolanda, could you throw up a picture? Because we can lose the
I can pull stuff up on my laptop now, we've got this working.
Oh yeah, fair point. Well, grab up a Mark III MR2.
I
yes.
will in a minute as well.
So I found that
Mark
on
III.
Unfinished Projects and went, well, see, that's where I found the chassis as well. Like, to be fair. So yes, throw desk. So I found the chassis on there and went, this would be a great thing. Loads of parts with it, and we went up and we bought it, having gone, actually, that would be a good idea. Yeah, let's do it. And we drove up and just did it. So maximum win there. The Thunderbird came up, and I went, God, I've always wanted something big and American, and it's already in the UK, and it's dirt cheap. I think it was about £1,900 when I spotted it, and obviously it was climbing a little bit. It had some bids on it.
You can lock it off now if you want, Yola.
But
I'm going to go find some other images. I need to dig.
But yeah,
or Raid can.
Just there you go.
Cool.
But yes, do you want to? I was going to say, do you want to flip that off? Yeah, there you go. So I found the Thunderbird on there, looking through, and went, oh, that would be nice. God, do you know what? I've got £2,000 in my bank account right now. I could buy a Thunderbird. So I started poking into it, and I watched the auction, and went through, and I kind of thought about it for a while, and thought, that's a terrible, terrible idea. And with it must have been less than that. With 20 seconds left, I did decide I was definitely going to bid on it. And I bid with 6 seconds to go and won it. And then had a small crisis about what I'd done, buying a car sight unseen on the internet. That was 200 miles away, that didn't run or drive, so I couldn't just drive it here. And then it cost me the better part of £300 to get it delivered on spec to the driveway. And I had a small crisis of, oh God, what have I done? And informed my better half, Yolanda, who went, what? Like, yeah, things escalate, things happened. Fortunately, when it arrived on the back of a tow truck, she really liked it, and she really still does like it, and the colour that I'm going to paint it. So I'm calling it a win. I'm not saying that this isn't an immensely risky strategy for you, as Stephen points out when he says, I've just lost it now, how to explain to loved ones that you're planning to buy another car, and she's wondering if you're going to sell the old one, which means you already bought it, and you're not going to sell a damn thing. So yeah.
Or you can take the option as guaranteed to succeed. Has worked for me 100% of the time when I'm getting a new car. Just be single. Like, no one can complain at you. Like, there's no room for anything to backfire. It's perfect.
Yes.
The other thing I wouldn't advise, I would advise against is.
I'm not saying dump Yola. Like, that wasn't the message to take away.
And,
by the
what,
way.
and keep the Thunderbird.
Yeah, having like finally clocked that. Thanks, Chris.
To be fair, the flip side of that is I have also got her into cars, which is
True,
much
yeah.
much better, to the point where she's been looking at small convertibles like SLKs and things, which is always good. And to be fair, the one that you were looking at, which you wanted really quite a lot.
Oh, I wanted that Evora last week.
A, she wanted the Evora last week.
That was nice.
B, prior to that, there was a Mustang.
Ooh, yeah,
65, 66 era Mustang Coupe. And the one after that, because we saw one when we were out, and I went, do you have any idea how much they are in good nick? Was a Mercedes-Benz 280-ish SL, but crucially the drop top with the optional hard top that just kind of drops on, which I want to say, I'm going to actually have to look this up now, is 70s Benz SL.
Sorry, we're both just furiously googling stuff now.
Yeah. This is welcome to Chris and Aid Google furiously. So the third generation, 71 to 1988. Wow, that spanned a long time. Starts in the 280 era. It starts in the 280. However, because me, obviously, I would clearly be trying to goad her into the 350 SL, which is a V8. Or really, the top tier choice, Yolanda, if you could find me a picture of a 560 SL.
I feel like a V8 Mercedes is a brave maneuver.
Yes.
I'm not sure I can actually
no.
encourage that.
A V8 Mercedes is a good choice. A
Compared to
V12
what? Oh.
Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, by comparison.
Yeah.
When you've got that as your benchmark, sure.
Yeah. A cheap.
I'm reminded of that episode of.
There's no such thing as a cheap V12.
I'm reminded of that episode of Drive from ages ago. Yeah, there's no such thing as a cheap V12.
Yeah, there is in fact a 1988 Mercedes-Benz SL 560 on eBay right now for £32,500.
That is not a license to eBay. I quite like that one.
Everything.
That I put on the back.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, that's the American spec one. And here's another fun fact that, again, we touched on before. You can tell it's an American spec one because it has 7-inch round sealed beam headlights in, rather than the full clear European spec one, which just has a streamlined glass plate over the front. Because
American headlight regs were
American
weird
headlight
for a long
regs
time.
are weird. Yeah. This is before they were even allowed to put the square ones in.
Yeah, this is why the SD1
Yeah.
had those horrible
No,
headlights that it had for
don't
the US
talk about
market.
it. Go away.
But
Shush.
yeah, I would
I've
also
actually seen people
advise-
convert European market SD1s to American headlights, and I just don't know why you'd do that.
I don't endorse killing people, but kill them.
Ooh.
Well, that's what I threatened to do to the kit car, were it actually a woman.
No. Yeah,
I
as
said if
Mingdon
the kit
says, the
car-
Mercedes V8s, yeah, they flip around a lot
Oh.
between tip-top and absolute horror shows.
But yeah, my other piece of advice for Stephen is to not then have like a mental breakdown and expect your other half to like
Yes.
help you through the emotional breakdown
Yes.
of having to go
Don't be
around.
like, oh my god, what have I done? What do you mean?
You've
what
made a
have you
mistake,
done?
is what you've done.
Yeah.
Have I made a colossal error? I think you have made a colossal error,
Yeah.
but there's no going back now, is there? No! Oh god! Then I went out for a drive to try and chill, and then a giant spider ran across my hand in the car. I was like, woo! This is awful! And yeah, bad things.
Looping all the way back around to before
Correct.
I went and evacuated my skull.
Yes.
We were talking about bending that 10mm tube up.
Yes.
So
yeah.
anything that's quite easily formable, and even some stuff that isn't, you can do this with sheet steel. So there's a channel on YouTube called Stuff Made Here,
Yes,
and lately
sorry,
he started this one. This is our thing. It's all good. Lately he's pivoted mostly into making like mean garbage, like shotgun cartridge powered baseball bats and
the things
hair
that-
cutting robots.
It's
It
the
gets
things that you end up
views
having
'cause-
to do
yeah,
at home
yeah,
during
he's catering
lockdown
to the
as
algorithm.
well. Yeah.
Well, he was making like actually clever stuff during lockdown as well. Like, to be fair, actually, all of it's clever. The engineering in it is immensely
Yes.
clever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just memey.
It's just
Anyway,
making something a bit meh.
he's a still incredibly clever person,
Yes.
and I don't want to take that away from him. So anyway, a little while ago, about just over a year ago, back in early lockdown, he did a bunch of videos on bending sheet steel with 3D printed plastic tools. And like, obviously,
I
not
remember
everything
telling
is
you
3D.
this,
Yeah, I
yeah.
showed you them a while ago,
Yeah.
and I can't remember what for. I think it was for forming. We were thinking of doing it for forming like bits of like little enclosures and boxes and stuff for our
Yeah.
kit car. But yeah, the idea is like obviously you don't like not everything's 3D printed. You still need like a hydraulic press. And I don't mean a hydraulic press channel size hydraulic press, just like a regular one's fine.
No, like one of the like you'd use
A
for
bench
wheel
top
bearings
kind
and
of
things.
one,
You know,
yeah.
it's 10
So one of
to
those.
20 tons.
And yeah, you can like 3D print little dies and stuff to form your steel into. And if you're working with like mil or less thick steel, it works really, really well.
Yeah. You can get away with an
me.
awful lot with the
die,
thin
Chris.
steel.
But yeah, if
And
you
they-
search for stuff made here, bending steel or 3D printed sheet
Yeah.
metal folding, you know, various different formulations of that recipe.
I mean,
Yeah,
all
there's a
of
couple
the
of really good vids on it.
all the stuff that we've been using is for panels anyway is 0.8. It's all 0.8, like patch panel steel is what we buy from the from Berkshire Metals, which is our metal supplier of choice for the area. If you're in the southeast, I fully recommend them, based out of Reading. And the guys there are really, really good. They're extremely helpful with going, oh, I haven't got that. Oh, I've got this. Yeah, that works fine. Brilliant.
Just casually doxing ourselves, but it's fine. I think everyone knew
It's
we were
Reading.
that anyway.
It's
Yeah.
Reading. But yeah, so it's not too bad to do the 0.8 stuff. You get up to 1 mil because we've done some slightly more structural sort of panel bits and bracketry out of 1 mil, and that's easy to bend. Like you're putting a straight line in, nice and simple. You want to throw that in the press brake and just flip it up. It will go. It's a bit tougher. You get up to 1.5, 2 mil, press brake ain't gonna do that without being a proper hydraulic press brake.
Yeah,
to-
our
to
little
get
hand-operated one just
The
isn't
little
really
hand
up to
one.
it.
You
Not on
can-
a long...
You can do it, but if you're going to do it, A, you need 2 people. B, your bend's not going to be accurate. You're just getting something started at that point. And then after that, you've got to take a side of a bench to it and just beat it with a hammer to get anything remotely crisp on. I mean, if you want a nice crisp edge on boxes or anything like that, that's not like an edge panel, again, ball peen hammer. And I actually have a piece of 150mm by 150mm box on the end of my bench, which is just bolted onto the welding table. And I use that for doing because it's hollow through, obviously, because it's a piece of box. You can put things around over the top, and it's only about 2 or 3 inches wide. Now, admittedly, I got this out of Berkshire's scrap pile, which is extremely useful on 2 counts.
That scrap pile's gold.
1, because it's a brilliant place to just beat on things. 2, it's also exactly the same height as the vise at the other end of the bench. So you can put things down on it, clamp it in at one end, and you can cut bits off and work it at the other end, and it's nice and stable. It's absolutely fantastically. So top tier all round. Although I have realised the way I did it was I drilled a hole, welded a bracket through, and sort of welded it, rather than just welding onto the top around it, because I wouldn't have got a nice flush finish. I plug welded through the steel box. 2 little bolts that go down through. I realised the other day that I have beaten one of them and sheared it off.
Well,
So it does now swing around. I need to fix that at some point, drill the hole, re-weld it and put it back on. But yeah, it was incredibly handy having that. And I might actually change it so it's just a proper bolt all the way through rather than having the plug weld.
yeah. Print's done, by the way. So I'm going to...
Oh, cool, yeah, if you want to go and grab that. So this was the other thing. This was some CAD-ly goodness that we've been doing recently. Wait till Chris gets back and then he can talk through how we modified from version 1 to version... Actually, this is version 2. No, probably 1.1 to 2. No problem. Thanks very much for joining us, Aid. We will catch you again at some point, no doubt. Chris, say bye to Aid.
See you, Aid. Thanks for popping in. I'm just going to, real quick,
Test it.
validate it. This would not be the first time this piece hasn't ended up
Yeah.
fitting right.
So, did you find the other bits of the other one?
I didn't,
Oh, that's
unfortunately,
looking
no.
way good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice.
It's not quite there, but it's
So
close.
what we've been working on recently is the print bracket.
Print bracket,
A print bracket.
brake switch,
Thank you.
bracket.
So,
Brake pedal switch.
brake
bracket.
pedal switch.
Too many
So
words.
This, oh god, that is a good fit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is our brake pedal switch, which, as if you've looked
got
on
the
one
close-up
of our,
camera?
yes, yeah, if you throw close cam on, there we go. Let's see, I'll just move chat back out the way. So yeah, so this is our brake pedal switch, which, as Crispy, who, another one, if you haven't seen already, check out Crispy's project on YouTube. He's been giving us various bits of anecdotal goodness on our videos as we've put them up, as he's got quite a bit of experience with the old VW wiring as well. This is the brake switch. This is the latest revision one, which is very convenient, has the shortest throw, but we need to wire this in, or well
we need to fit it, we need to install it into the car.
But we need to install
tricky.
it into the car, and I've made a little bracket that sits on the balance bar and basically just pushes like this. And that's all that it does to operate it. So we need to hold this into the car somehow so that the little bracket will do that and also not shatter anything else.
Yeah.
So we printed up new one.
That's the new one.
Pass it, old one.
Old one.
So we printed up one like this,
That's Gen 2.
which was all well and good. So yeah, this is Gen 2, which has a thicker base to it. The first one had a much thinner base underneath. Unfortunately, I wonder, we should probably
It's
get
a
one
bit
with a
thin
slightly
to show up, really,
slightly
but-
longer lens. I might put a third camera up just for shiggles to do proper close-ups on for next week, and we'll showcase this again because watch time. So this was Gen 2. Gen 1 version of this, unfortunately, had a very, very thin base. And admittedly, it was printed in a fairly low resolution because it was mostly a test mock-up to make sure the dimensions were correct. And they weren't. So
They were wildly not correct.
So this one, yeah, we thought they were wrong. They were wildly wrong. So this one shattered just across here and split because the tolerance in this gap here was slightly too small, and the tolerance in through this hole in the end was also slightly too small. So when you pushed the switch through, it basically splayed this. It bent the ears that way, and bent this back this way, so it snapped
It all
across
sort of
this.
exploded
So
out. Yeah.
this was the follow-up version, which was obviously a little bit wider, a little bit taller, worked quite
Still
nicely.
contained one glaring error.
But-
It's actually probably difficult to see on video.
Yes,
But-
so it's reasonably difficult to see accurately, but basically this needs to fit through this hole. Now, we printed this one with a higher resolution, so we can machine this and work this a little bit easier in order to get something to fit. We were absolutely fine with that. However, the glaring error is that the top of this piece is supposed to go over this shoulder here, which, let me show you. So this front piece of the bracket goes over this shoulder. Now, if you can see down the side, you can see where this does not fit over this piece, which is a good
Not even remotely.
1/4 of an inch taller. So, out with version 2, and in with version 3, which is once again nice high print resolution with a good thick base to it.
It's still come out garbage. A lot of the corners and edges
And-
are trash, but
Yeah, this now fits real nice and snug in underneath there.
it does still need another change. There's one improvement that I still
This
need
could
to make to
probably
it.
do with just sliding through a little bit more.
Yeah, it is
Um,
actually supposed to.
Yeah,
run
it
further
wants
through.
so the shoulder actually wants
So
to go up another 1/8 of an inch, basically.
The basic idea is that this face that's currently looking at the camera there is supposed to. There's a couple of bolt holes in here that fit over some nutserts that we're going to put in the sheet metal, and the idea is this fits up against the panel at the front of the pedal box, and then you can just the coordinating
Yeah, so
that is
this
really
this hand here is basically the back of our pedal box, and the pedal sits here and pushes down, and the
Yeah.
little actuator basically does that.
Yeah.
So it needs
So it just
another
has to move
little-
forward a little bit more, so that when we've got the connector sat on here, obviously it's not right up against the sheet metal there, because right now the connector is straight into the sheet
Yeah.
metal. So it just needs to sink in a little further.
It
and
might.
then it'll
This
be
one might
alright.
actually be modifiable. Oh no, because it's. I mean, you could probably get that 1/16 of an inch out of it with a little bit of.
Yeah, it'll be
finagling.
because it's like a little spar on the
Yeah.
switch somewhere. It's not huge. It's like I just need to take a little bite out of it somewhere. But yeah, so the
Oh,
the
that's what
model-
it is. It's the.
Oh, yeah, it is
it's
just
the
those
tiny
two little spars,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the little braces. We can
Yeah.
probably cut that into this as a tester
Or cut
to
them
make
off
sure
that,
that the rest
but,
or cut the ideally keep this as sort of
Yeah, yeah.
unmodified. But yes, we could cut it off this one and then print another one if we
Yeah.
need it, and use this one for the time being. Because
Yeah.
even that 1/8 of an inch push in there will be enough for the
Well,
wires.
'cause actually that-
oh no, because the connector sits further out
Yeah.
again.
Well,
yeah.
the actual correct fitment for this is,
Needs
and
to go
again,
for-
this is
yeah.
probably not going to show up very well on camera at all. But
Yeah.
this, so the
This
gap that
line
you see
here-
here goes away.
Yeah, this line where my
Yeah.
thumbnail is should line up with this
Exactly.
line here. So
Yeah.
it
So
has
it's-
actually got.
And there is actually enough. I did
Yeah.
check that the total end-to-end length, it does all go together.
Yeah.
So on the laptop screen at the minute is the 3D model
Let's
for
just
it.
Switch over onto that. Give me disk.
Just use the radioactive green as to
Can-
selected
One
the
second,
part.
let me just check where the pip will sit better. Oh, did I? Or that one. That one's no good. That one's also you again. Oh, that's you again. All right.
Oh,
Now,
Unfortunately,
you're going to have to put up with us being in the way a little bit.
yeah, but like you can pretty easily see on there where that shoulder is that the whole thing's supposed to like fit
Yes.
into neatly, and the two sort of recessed holes in the top here
Yeah.
where the nuts sit.
To be
and
honest,
bolts are supposed to go through.
I think it's actually sensible to just remove, rather than put two little cuts in for that.
or
and
putting
try and
those
get
sorts
them
of
right.
features in is actually really tricky anyway.
Yeah,
the printer just doesn't like those.
We'll just cut them off.
Yeah,
I think that's the smarter way to do it. And yeah, we just lift
Yeah.
this up a little bit so it's a touch higher.
Yeah.
And go in. I don't know if you want to stress CAD your way through that one a little bit.
yeah, can do. Maybe kill the screen share for now, but
Yes.
just
Yeah.
until I've got a bit more of a
There
handle
we
on
go.
what I'm doing.
But yes, so that's where we've been at so far. We've had some good work. The Thunderbird brake system, as we say, is all back together. The two shocks that I bought for the rear, so they need to go in, but we can pull that out. We were reading through the big book of Thunderbird that we got at Roadkill many years ago now, and one of the instructions for removing the rear tank says that you have to disconnect the rear shocks from the body, and you pull the rear shock mounts out and remove them from the car. And we cannot see nor fathom how that gets in the way or impedes at all.
It's not those.
Oh yeah?
It's the little notches. It's the little things on the side of the barrel there.
Really?
Yeah, because the oh no, it can't be.
No, it
'cause
can't be.
they're
That's the
radius
notches.
there, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the notches because they're at the same height as the rest of that whole face, and the whole thing is set at that height. I need to just play around with it a bit
You
more.
don't
And
want eyes to look at
no, it's. I mean, maybe if you want to.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's confused aid now as well.
What is it sitting on?
It's rocking around.
Oh, the radius from that out to that bump there is larger.
It shouldn't be because it's sized by the. Oh.
Yeah. It's not quite. It's sized at
No,
the bottom.
that is what it's sized.
Yeah.
That is what it's measured to.
But it
It
fits.
might have printed a bit.
It
wrong.
will see through.
Oh, yeah.
See through at the
There you
bottom. But yeah, I think the alignment needs. Yeah, there you go. The
Probably
alignment
needs a bit of
needs
persuasion.
a little bit of opening out to clear at the top edge, and then it would go. It's the top that's holding where it's sat on the bed at the bottom. It's just lifting the
Yeah.
whole unit up a touch. So yeah, that will probably size out.
The joys of 3D printing. Nothing's ever quite dimensionally accurate, especially not when you're dealing with the first layer,
Yeah,
where it's sat on the bed and it has a habit of like squishing. They call it elephant foot.
yeah.
There's a setting in my slicer that I can use to correct for that, but I've never actually measured the error, so
Yeah.
can't use
So we
it.
can't.
Yeah.
But yes, so the next plan. Well, this week's episode is going to be a lot of Thunderbird stuff, which will be finally finishing and replumbing the brake system, because we had to redo all of the hard lines in the front of the car, but we couldn't do that till we had the master cylinder in. We tried putting the master cylinder in and checking that, and that's when we found the brake booster was duff. Now we've got the brake booster, the master cylinder's in, and we've redone the hard lines all the way down and put the new flexies on, which we probably didn't need to do because the old flexies were
Actually look pretty healthy.
perfect.
Yeah.
The rubber protector bit to stop it sort of rubbing on anything and stop the pin.
New
Oh,
error
there you
found.
go.
So yeah, I just need to heighten
Yes,
that
yeah,
a little bit,
it just needs to go
which
up
is
a touch
really
more.
easy.
You want another? I would say I would move that up probably about 4 mil to clear that.
4,
Yeah, that probably wants 4 mil
10% of the entire size of it.
easily. I would say that's 4 mil.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, the
Goddamn.
yes. So the brakes are all done. So we can start hopefully putting hydraulic fluid into them soon. But with the back of the car up off the ground because we have the tank out and we've done all of that, I'm going to take the opportunity to put the new rear shocks in because I'm pretty sure. Was it actually 4 mil?
4.1.
Not gonna lie, I'm getting good at that. So. Yeah, so while the back of the car is off the ground, we're going to put the new shocks in. Yes, that was it. Because at the moment it is sitting really low, and I am assuming that the rear shocks are completely flat.
All right, let's go
and
to
just
print now.
not holding anything at all. So that's somewhat contributing to the very squat nature of the back of the car because it is very, very squat. It doesn't look like it's had any springs removed from the leaves or anything like that. It seems perfectly fine in that.
I think you should leave it. It looks awesome.
It's entirely possible that the leaves have just sagged.
I think that
over
happens,
the years.
doesn't it?
So it might want new leaf springs at some point. It definitely doesn't look terrible, don't get me wrong. Because it hasn't got the side panels on the wheels, it does tuck the wheels up a little bit. The only parts that were really missing on the car, sheet metal wise or anything like that, is the infill pieces on the rear arches. So without those in, it does tuck the rear wheels nicely and it doesn't look bad. The downside with that is I wonder if it will just bottom out. Oh really?
It's your shonky German internet, mate. Badly engineered.
Yeah, it's we're still. I presume we're still showing an excellent connection to tubes.
Yeah, sorry, Wingo, might be you two.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I probably should have just left that and let chat answer it. But...
I blame Daddy Google. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping that will just lift it a touch, or if nothing else, it will add some compression in to stop it just bottoming out on the stops to some degree.
Yeah. Or
slow down the impact one way or another. So yeah, that's the hoped plan. It also needs a really good clean under there because the rear axle is very, very crusty. It's not badly rusted. It's just crusty over the surface, so it really needs a good clean down.
How did I forget earlier, by the
top.
way?
Yeah.
When we were repping, like obviously you rep in decimal tenths, me not repping, not too grand as it were. How did I forget to rep One Hell of a Town?
I don't know.
I've got like 4 Rohope stickers on this laptop. How did I forget?
But yeah, it's that's the next up plan. So that will be this week's episode on the Thunderbird because the shocks are hopefully, all being well, going in tomorrow, and that will wrap that up nicely. Then after that is going to be actually putting sheet metal back together on the car, which is going to be fun and interesting. So we'll get some of that done. The other big discovery that we made this week was when I started cleaning the radiator because it was looking a bit naff, you know. And
a bit sorry, I think, would be another fair way to describe it.
a bit sorry for itself. So I thought, well, while I'm in here and I'm doing various bits, I might as well just paint the end tanks on the radiator. So, answers in chat as to whether or not we should paint the end tanks on this radiator black or leave them in their glorious brassy goodness. Because I got to admit,
I quite like it.
I kind of like
with
it.
the bits of with the leftover black that's around on the corners and stuff.
Yeah, well
sorry, I don't mean the brackets. I just mean sort of around.
There's a little bit of. It's definitely got a bit of patina on it. It wants a little bit more clean up on this side to get rid of this because I just ran out of arms and fingers and ability to do it, and Vix was helping us do this as she's visiting for a while this week, which was nice. So I had somebody else helping me just scrub all of this dirt off. Honestly, it was a chore.
This
but
was also taken down by the
pollen.
The
same hay fever that took Chris down badly. Me a little bit today. I don't normally have hay fever.
Me, who's never had hay fever before in my life, I was murdered.
So yeah, at the moment this just has a little bit of lacquer on the end, but it's got sort of the brushed marks in from the sandpaper that we had to use to take this off and the wire brush. It has been brazed up, so it's never going to look perfect.
That's the thing. I think it does look perfect. It's a beautiful aesthetic on it now.
It's a nice patina to it, and it just needs the extra little bit of dirt taking off this side, the old sort of paint and grime from these panels down here. And yeah, I'm really tempted to just send it as is. Obviously, I'll fix the rest of the bracket because the backside, as I'm looking to it, which is actually the front, is still rusty and hasn't been painted yet, and it wants a quick coat over with some black spray just to clean up the back so it doesn't look all sorts of different colours of rust and dust. But yeah, once we started finding that it was brass underneath, I was like, oh no, I really don't want to clean this all the way back because I'm not going to be able to stop. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. So
it's your thing, isn't it? You start a little bit and you sort of get carried away.
This was about 4 hours of work with 2 of us. So you're talking about 8 man hours. It's a full work day just cleaning the tanks back to this point, and my fingers were ruined at the end of it. It was horrendous.
I feel like that's supposed to be a problem for a Dremel.
Yeah.
And just like a bunch of those little wire wheel ends for it.
And you just clean and clean and clean. See, I was
it's
worried.
like, even if it's not that much faster, and it will be, like 4 hours, like the bar is low for speed. Even if it's not that much faster, your fingers still work the next day, which is a big win.
Yeah, huge improvement. But yeah, we soaked that in. We soaked it in some of the phosphoric acid to get some of the rust off from obviously the bracket. Brass doesn't rust, and just like trying to scrub everything, but.
You gunked it as well.
Yeah. Oh, and a lot of gunk and a couple of beers. So it wasn't all lost, but man, it was hard work. So yes, thanks. I'll vocally say and publicly, thanks very much to Vix for putting up with doing that as a thankless task for which I have thanked. But even so, that's coming on. So that's ready to go back in. Once the core is back on, there are a couple more panels that go around it that need fitting in as well, so we can get those on. Well, what else? We need to get the... Well, I need to... If nothing else, I need to paint the lower valance. Like, that's all been primed up for quite a while now, and there's a bunch of other structural bits to add back in around the radiator cowl. But after that, it is putting the bodywork back on the car and getting a sort of single coat. But before the wings go on, I have to do the little area underneath the wings at the front of the car. And if I'm doing that, because that's the main bodywork, I then have to start cleaning back and priming the hood cowl where the vents are, and then from there I have to go up into the roof and etc, etc, etc. So it starts the ball rolling on a very long-winded process of rubbing, cleaning, rust prepping, priming and painting of a car in the open air, which, as I've said before, this is not a perfection paint coat that's going down. This is a rust prevention, make it all one colour paint coat, and then it will get a proper one in the body shop. And get a proper going over and like really nicely smoothed back and flatting and many layers of gloss. We did find the original colour. We have absolutely confirmed. Well, when we were taking the fuel tank out and taking all the matting off, it's the original red oxide primer underneath and the original blue, which is really, really good. So that Thunderbird blue that we've got, I'm pretty certain when that gets deep enough and shines up enough, it goes real nice. But yeah, I'm pretty certain that's the original colour.
It's all lead-based paint, and it's going to be wonderful stuff. Don't eat it, but it's probably actually really nice paint. It's like all the old lead-based stuff is just really, really good at its job.
Yes,
I think my laptop's just run out of juice.
Fair enough. Well, we got the CAD.
It's fine. I got the print started.
Yeah,
so.
we got it all sorted. So yeah. That's
I'm
what
trying
that's
to work,
up to, at least.
I'm trying to work out if I can get an SD1 episode out at any point in the near future, because the new cylinder head is on it with
the reconditioned head.
That is
strong
bit of a
words.
reach. Yeah, it's got it needed a big skim. This is the head that I've had to have about 30 thou taken off of, so it's probably picked up like a good half, 3/4 of a point of compression. Which, to be fair, would be alarming if it didn't start at 9.25 to 1 compression. Yoda's looking at us very confused.
Yes. I think your laptop's doing
laptop's
something weird.
Has the laptop feed gone odd?
It suddenly, so it went dark.
Oh, I don't think it died.
still
I
going.
think it just shut itself down. No, not shut itself down, but yeah.
It was just a little bit strange to go from a completely blank preview to suddenly you and Chris on the YouTube tab.
Oh, yeah, the laptop is actually still running. I thought it had died. What I'm now confused by is why my keyboard's not responding to anything.
Well, that's trickier.
Winged one, if you leave the asbestos alone, it'll be okay.
I was going to say, asbestos is perfectly fine as long as you don't touch it or do.
Yeah,
do
as you said,
anything,
they weren't used
anything
without
at all.
reason. They were really good at their jobs.
Yeah, it was really, really good stuff.
And it didn't. Was it the Romans that called asbestos something like magical?
But yeah.
Yeah, my keyboard's just completely dead. I can still mouse around and control my web browser, but because my web browser's in full screen and I get into and out of full screen exclusively via a keyboard shortcut.
Oh. Right. Well.
You're currently on Wikipedia. I can tell you that.
Oh no, I can. That's the thing.
Like, we can
I can
see.
see it. Like
see
the
the
screen's
screen. It's
working.
Yeah.
I can click around the browser and do stuff. I just can't.
The
Also,
keyboard-
my browser is powered by keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah.
I'm screwed.
Well, that's going to be a.
I did save the CAD model at least.
Yeah.
So. Oh no, I didn't. I saved.
love how
I
you just-
saved the printed result,
I
but
love
not
how you
the.
just tried to do something with the keyboard there instinctively.
Yeah.
So this was the other one that we needed to,
Well-
to get some input in on today. Whilst we've got a few, we probably should have done this earlier. Now we're down to 5 from the sort of 10-ish people we had earlier, which is a bit of a shame. We might have to do this
We
one
appreciate you 5.
yet again, but we need to discuss the reflectors on the back of the car.
Flip a bloody
So-
coin, honestly. Just no one cares.
This is 4 options.
There are 4 options.
Flip
and
2
honestly, I
coins.
haven't decided
Roll the
what
dice.
to do. There are a lot of different people have different ideas. Twitter was largely in favour of the round ones. Instagram massively. Instagram was hugely in favour of the rectangles. Facebook was massively outnumbering them in favour of the circular ones, both low down, and then it's about equidistant on whether or not to have it up next to this light on either the left or the right of the light within that.
You've
So
got number 2.
yeah, so this is the other placement, having it down on the very bottom corner, which I'm still not 100% sold on.
Number 3.
And then number 4, which is this placement. So yeah,
I quite like
I'm
number
still
4.
flipping and umming and ah between many different things.
Oh no, I like number 3. Sorry.
Oh, no, don't worry, Winged One. I have many spare keyboards in this household. That is, by a wide margin, not a problem. Although
I have
foolish.
4.
Yes, yeah, Yolanda is currently surrounded by 4 different keyboards, 2 on laptops.
Oh no, 3. Sorry.
Yes, I was going to say, well, it's the 4th one. One
It's
is
in my head.
one is the streaming server, and then there are 2 laptops for Control and VT. So, yes, we have many keyboards, plus the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 or something that I can think of.
Pretty much.
So yeah,
4
many
round on the outer edge. See, I have to disagree with Philbert. I do think.
4 round, number 4 round on the outer. Yeah, you see.
Nah, number 3 is the one I've got up at the moment.
Well, no, he said so. Philbert reckons 4, as in round. Oh, that's a good point. Number 4, you can't see particularly well with the pip up. Let me just
There's number
knock
4.
pip off. So yeah, that is number 4.
Actually, no, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad by any stretch. I can kind of get on board with it. More so than I can with
Which one do you want?
with 3, or number 2, which was down in the bottom corner. Yeah, I think up does work better than having it on the bumper bar. Like I keep looking at this every now and again and trying to make a decision. I still think the square, the rectangle one works. Yeah, I still my first instinct was the round one that I put on, and then I put it in and went, I'm not so sure. The second one was the square going on the bottom, and then we tried the round one up top. And yeah, I'm still kind of drawn to the rectangle. I'm just looking at it on the fallback screen there and going and umming and ahhing about it. But yeah, I'll probably try and put up another poll during the week and try and have a knockout round, I guess, to see which one wins and which one gets most votes. Try and do it anyway. But yeah, round still has a lot of a lot of votes in favour. It's weird, yeah. Very, very weird.
I'm very confused.
Are you still...
Any Linux nerds in chat will maybe be aware of a magic incantation on Linux. There's a backronym, reboot even if system utterly broken. And it's a series of keystrokes. You hold Alt and blah blah blah. You put the system into a mode, and the kernel starts listening to your keyboard. And you go REISUB, and like R does one thing, and E and each of these is a command that goes into the Linux kernel. Reboot even if system utterly broken is not rebooting my system.
Yeah.
I remain confused. So, oh well.
What you reading?
Somebody attempting to work out why acetone is bad, having never been told that acetone is bad and you shouldn't get it in your eyes and mouth when describing how to use it on a 3D print.
Oh.
But why would you be licking it? Nobody ever
I have a
mentioned.
brilliant photo of you having accidentally.
No one said I couldn't.
Genuine accident.
Yeah, to be fair, I have accidentally put acetone in my mouth, and it was an enormously disgusting experience.
What did I drink while we were doing an episode of PedalBox? Did I think I managed to spray one of your rust-killing acids in my face.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
That is not recommended.
Yeah, that's not a pleasant taste.
Do
either.
not.
No, I would very much recommend against that as well. But yeah, I mean it's coming up 10 to 10. Do you think we can do a wrap up in 10 minutes?
We can do it in an hour and 10, and we'll get to our usual 3-hour runtime.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That seems fair. But yeah, it's pretty good. The work we've got done recently has been moving at a slower pace, suffice to say, with things.
Yeah.
The Thunderbird stuff really dragged yesterday. We didn't even do a long day compared to some of the ones we've done on the kit car.
No.
Because we started about 4, we finished at about... Well, we were packed up and in the house by 10. But
to be fair,
we were done-ish by about 9. And I
feel like any day where you
drained.
finish at 10 PM is a fairly long day.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd been awake since relatively early. I hadn't been at work, thankfully. Even if I wasn't ill, I was on I was on paid time off. So, it's not like I've been working my 9 to 5.
But yeah, it was...
But 10 PM's like a respectable time to finish. Like, that's...
But it was still only, in inverted commas, sort of 5 hours worth of actual work. But I just felt drained.
It was hot.
From the whole thing. And it was hot and humid, but yeah, weird one. But that's now done. So, as we said, the 2 fluid systems we care about at the moment, well, now almost 3, because the new radiator, well, not new radiator, obviously. The radiator will be going back in soon as well, TM, and then we can pull, so the next step on the Thunderbird, actually, after that, probably before we put the wings on, to be fair, because we can get a bit closer, is pull the plugs, pull the carburetor off, go through the carb and check what condition it's in, because the worst case we might need to buy a rebuild kit for the carb as well, which would be a chore. Be another order of parts from Rock, or possibly even just a different carb. I could be convinced.
Fuel injection.
What, EFI it?
Yeah.
MSD. So that might happen, maybe not. I don't want to particularly, but that might happen depending on the condition of the carb, the cost of a rebuild kit, and my confidence in being able to rebuild the carb.
Rebuild kits are cheap.
We'll
that doesn't.
Well, no,
really
it's,
figure
yeah,
in,
but it's with shipping.
Yeah.
It's the overall cost of the rebuild kit with shipping is the usual one, but that gives me an excuse to buy other bits. I might need to buy a new fuel sender unit anyway, because one of the contacts looks loose, and I don't think I managed to get it back together properly when it went back in. It's easy to remove, fortunately. You can do it, just jack the car, disconnect a hose, a plug, and it pops out as long as it's completely full of fuel.
To be fair, though, it's not like it's an in-tank lift pump or anything. It's like, as with most American line of that era, it's like sucked into the engine from the engine bay.
The new fuel pump will be on the engine if needs be. So.
All of the wiring on the sender is just for the float. Right.
Yeah,
so worst case scenario, you don't know.
Yeah,
how much
I don't
you've got.
I don't know how much I've got, but I can figure it out. Like, it's not end of the.
The correct answer in that is always not enough to get to your destination.
Precisely, always brim it more.
Yeah.
So that's the plan with that. But it's going to be plugs out, check plugs, probably new plugs, just because. I mean, depending on the ones that Ian put in are like, because he did go through the engine.
Yeah.
But the engine needs a good refresh. Probably take the cam covers off so that I can repaint them, because they're looking real.
Covers.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's valve train, isn't it? It's not
rocker covers, I think.
Yeah, rocker covers.
I just push my glasses up my nose a bit more.
Actually,
I think you'll find Yeah, I'm sorry.
So yeah, pop them off and get them Ford Blue proper.
The Rover SE one's a proper stumper because it's both a cam cover and a rocket cover.
Yeah, that's So yes, that will happen, and we'll see whether or not the engine actually turns, which will be good. I mean, I don't doubt the engine won't turn, but we are a little concerned if there's any water fallen in through and gone down. So it'll definitely be the carb off, and have a poke around in that and see what the deal is.
The usual stuff, right? Plugs out, oil in.
And then turn it over on a bar and have a good look down and see what we can see in, if there's any water in. Oil it. I don't know if we'll be able to pre-lube the engine or not because we don't have a spare distributor or anything like that. But we
actually have a drill attachment, but I don't know if it's specific to the Rover V8 or if it will work.
So we can see whether or not we can make something up. We should be able to. I've got some solid bar stock, so we should be able to make something if nothing else.
Yeah, because if I remember right, it's just like a little 2-pin sort of interlocking dealie, so it should be replicable.
We'll see what that is. And the distributor, I think on the big blocks is on the front. I'm now doubting myself.
I think it is, if I remember right, yeah.
FE390.
Adrian frantically Google image searching on the laptop there. Those are bikes. They're not going to help you.
It's 390 FE.
Ah.
Yeah, dizzy up front.
Cool.
So it's at least easy to get to, all things considered.
I mean, the bonnet's off, so it's all pretty easy to get to be honest.
And the wings are off, so we don't have to reach over to get into the back either, so that works nicely. But yeah, that's the next one. It's plugs out, make sure it turns, for one, then oil and prime it with the rocker covers off so we can make sure that the oil gets around.
Yeah.
Fresh cam covers, fresh, reconditioned cam covers back on.
Yeah.
And then turn it.
I mean, if we can't prime it, just pull the crown lead off and swing it on the starter for a while.
Yeah, and just make it do the things.
Yeah, plugs out, so there's no compression. It'll just sit there and go for as long as we need.
Get it going round. Get some goo through it basically, and see. Make sure that it flows. Make sure there's no horrible crud in anything. Yeah. Good bit of fresh oil, and then all being well, make the noise. Not the one that goes beep 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 beep. But the one that goes.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I haven't heard a big V8 in a while, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we need to look at the exhaust. The exhaust itself seems to be in relatively good condition, but there is always the temptation to remove the section that sort of swan necks.
Yeah, the rear two silencers that come out under the boot.
Yeah, so it would just be two silencers under the back seats, basically, which obviously would be better.
Cherry bombs.
The flip side on that is also I have got two new silencers to put on because I wasn't sure what the condition is. Obviously, they're new in inverted commas because these happen to come free off Facebook Marketplace.
Nice.
That are from I want to say 2015 onwards Ford Mustang. So on the one hand, they will be quieter because mandated by law they have to be quieter these days.
They'll definitely flow enough if they're off a Mustang.
But they will definitely flow enough because they're from a bigger, but they are bigger silencers, so they should be less weight, winner, more compact, winner, or like shorter exhaust, maximum win, and still not be too obnoxious, which would be nice. And there's loads of space under there that will fit in.
Oh, there's so much room under there.
Yeah, they should fit in nicely, so we can fab something up onto that. And yeah, that's hopefully the plan, but we're going to see what it sounds like as is, see if there's any exhaust leaks as it stands, because if we don't have to remove the swan neck off the back, bonus. If we do, I can always sell them. And then the other major part before I can actually finish the paint all the way down the car is I have to do some bodywork on it. I have to put those patch panels in, and I'm still a little bit nervous about doing that.
You're putting that off, aren't you?
I'm still putting it off. I
would be as well.
I know there's a couple of other bits when I get into certainly the one ahead, because there is no. I mean, the boot floor also has a couple of spots you can see through, but the boot floor is non-critical as far as I'm concerned. There's very little downsides to having a couple of holes in the boot.
It's not like you're actually going to be storing bodies in it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Well, it doesn't matter if the fluid's
so it doesn't. Well, our pies, wouldn't it? It would still pool. So yeah, I need to get into that and fix that later. But it's very much a later date problem, not a right now problem. So the ones that need doing are underneath the cabin, and that is one to do whilst I'm doing the forward section of the rear quarter. While that is off, I need to make sure I take less off than I have a patch panel for. Very, very important. Make a mark of where I take off so I can compare the two together, and then replace a couple of bits of flat metal around the back and up the inner arch. So that's a seats out the back job to make sure that I don't set them on fire. Clean as much down as I possibly can, get any stuff out, and then throw in a couple of nice flat sheets of patch steel to get into that. Then put the outside panel back on, then do the rear quarter, the last bit of the rear quarter, and then do it all again on the other side. The upside of having been under the car again recently is that we've had another look, and it is still looking pretty solid under there. The underseal is still pretty good. It has been done. Critical.
Yeah. Really, all the stuff that's lasted 55 years up to this point has lasted the other 2 years it's been here.
Yeah, so far.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, weird that. But yeah, it is.
Sorry.
Oh, 10 o'clock. I'm about ready to sign off.
Bye.
Wild, eh? But yeah, so thank you very much for watching, everybody who got this far. We will probably do another one of these next week, all being well, with another update, and we'll have potentially some more updates on the SD1, depending on if there's any movement.
So
You said it was
at
in...
the minute, it's in getting the valves reshimmed. Because with having... So I swapped the original camshaft that was in the running engine.
Oh, I've just realised.
It's been there ages.
Yeah, it was off the radiator.
So I swapped...
That was stupid.
So of that replacement engine that you saw me dismantling about a year ago or so on the show, I've taken just the cylinder head and the built head with valves and everything in. The camshaft and the cam carrier has a separate piece. The camshaft actually is on its own housing on there. It's a block head cam carrier valve cover stack. The camshaft is out of my old engine, so it's got the mismatched camshaft and valves, which means all the tolerances on the valves is off. Unfortunately, because it's not a hydraulic like self-adjusting buckets or anything in there. Because obviously one of them's just actuated by it's just not doable. Anyway,
yes.
Result is mismatched camshaft and valves, needed reshimming, and even if I knew how to do that, it's a tedious, horrible of a job.
Yeah.
So I've given that to an engine shop who knows what they're doing.
Wingborne can fix your laptop.
Yeah.
It's
Did you say install Windows onto it?
Sudo RMRF.
Oh yeah, -- no preserve root / yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, the head's in the car, because obviously it's a whole running thing. It's in getting reshimmed at the minute. Once that's done, it's going to a little tuning shop called Crow Hill. Not tuning like speed shop, tuning as in like old school,
men that breathe on carbs,
gapping your plugs and
carb whisperers, basically.
Yeah, magicians, bearded old magicians. It's going to there to get the choke cable replaced, it sounds really trivial. It sounds like something I should be able to do myself. I cannot find a choke cable the right length with the splitting end to go to the two carbs. Just can't anyway.
Oh right, yeah.
I can find all sorts of different lengths of choke cables, but they all have single ends, and obviously at that point you can just cut them. It's a Bowden, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those really weird things. I guarantee if you know the right company, you can phone them up and go, "Hi, I need a 2-ended choke cable this long with with like this long of a split." Done.
Yeah.
But I just don't know where to go for that. But it's also getting the ignition and carbs and everything set up there, which again is the sort of old machine whispering that I don't know how to do. So I'm hoping that my comments in the last episode where we had the SD1, the Rover Returns, where I start it with "and just as gutless as ever," I'm fully expecting that to go away now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that it was ever a fast car. It was it's strictly like a 10-11 second to 60 car at the best of times.
On the goodest of days.
I mean, it should be consistent.
Yes. It really should be consistent, to be fair.
But it's like, it now has more compression, it's running on better fuel, so it'll have more ignition, advanced blah blah, like all of these different little things that...
Yeah.
Like, it should at least still be making those numbers.
Yes.
Not the 14 plus.
15, 16 seconds.
And it's slower than that now. Like, everything's gone further out of whack. But now that I've fixed the vacuum leak on the booster by buying a new booster, which is kind of the cheats answer, But now that it doesn't have a big vacuum leak into the carburetors,
Yes.
means that in theory the fuel ratio is actually settable properly. Like
Yes.
it can be
Yeah,
configured
because
right now.
you were fighting those carbs from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, it
and
was
there
like-
never a happy medium in the middle of. Hey,
Yeah.
look, it works. Whatever you set it to, you'd be like, cool, it's good. Test it. Oh, but it's wrong here.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like you
test
can
it
you
for
can
here.
either
Cool,
set
it's
it.
good. Oh, no, it's wrong.
Yeah, I could set it basically for one throttle position. Like I could set it
Which
for
is
idle.
really inconvenient for a
Yeah, exactly. For a daily
a-
driver, like it's just not
Yeah.
like that viable.
for a dragster.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Like
fine.
if it was a
You set-
dragster, I could just set it up so that vacuum leak is part of the air intake. And I was like, hey, more air, more power.
Yeah,
Happy
more,
days.
more air, more power,
Um,
wide open throttle. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
But obviously on a daily driver, like if I set it so that it idles properly, and especially so that it runs in the cold, which is made even worse by the broken choke cables. Like if I have it set up so that it idles right, it's compensating for such a massive air leak at idle.
Yes.
And when that air leak effectively goes to zero at wide open throttle because the engine's breathing so much that the vacuum leak is nothing.
Yeah, it's minimal.
Like now it's out of tune
Yeah.
because it's tuned like it. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just impossible to.
It was a.
I could choose one.
As you say, it was just an impossible balance to
Yeah.
strike anywhere.
So,
across it.
but yeah, with the vacuum leak sorted now, and with with the proper choke cables reinstalled, really, I should go back to the computer controlled choke that it had originally. It had a
electronic choke.
an electronic
Yeah.
choke, and to be fair, they're reliable. I don't know why people keep removing them off cars.
Yeah.
Like the minute anything goes wrong with any of these things, no one goes, oh yeah, I'll just pop it apart and service it. I was like, nope, I'll rip it out and replace it with one of these pain in the ass Bowden cable things. Oh, I hate it.
But where can you now find an electronic choke for a?
You don't need to. You just like
2600?
take it apart and clean some stuff.
Oh, is it still fitted on it?
It's not on it. It's off it.
Oh,
but
okay,
it came,
but you
like,
still have it.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, yeah,
it,
okay.
it came with the car. One
Yeah.
of the previous
Okay,
owners
well,
had removed
yeah.
it, but kept it
When
with.
we get it back over, that's probably a decent thing to go through cleaning and fitting again, and
Yeah.
all of those.
Assuming
menu-
I have all of the bits for it, like I
Yeah, fair
don't.
point.
It's not like I've done a
we
test
should,
build or anything
we
with
should
it.
probably go through that. We
Yeah.
should probably film dismantling it, just
Yeah.
in case, so we can
Yeah.
check all the bits and go one way or another.
But to be fair, once the carbs are in tune anyway, it shouldn't really need the chokes that
No.
much. Like it'll
It
be a
should be
very
reasonable.
cold weather starting thing.
Yeah.
I have noticed actually the first time around when I had a crack at the tuning and sorting the carbs and stuff out, and got it running relatively good. I only needed the choke in like properly cold weather, and even
Yeah.
then only for like a minute.
Very low single digits and negatives.
And negatives basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Like didn't even always need it in low single digits.
That's pretty good.
But like there was times I'd go out to it in the morning and without putting the choke on, literally flick the key like that.
Yeah.
And in the time
Just
time
run
that the
over.
engine is turning around,
I
it
must
would
admit,
light.
it did used to light up very, very nicely. It was
Yeah.
like 1 to 2 RPM over, and
Yeah.
it's there. Not even,
Yeah.
sorry, RPM. Just
Rotations,
1 to 2
yeah.
rotations, and it was off
Yeah.
and away. So
It's like I guess with 6 cylinders you've got plenty chances for that, right?
it's 12 times the charm.
Yeah.
But anyway, right. So if you would like
sign off,
to
yeah.
look at any t-shirts that do not have, if you'd like a t-shirt with a pre-embedded rust stain from something down
And
the
buy
front,
that specific one off Aid. You probably don't want to.
I was just
smells of
wait,
Aid.
you could buy this, but I can just like imprint another XL t-shirt. We have these ones, although they have white lettering at the top rather than black lettering in the new XLs, because I made a mistake and sent them slightly the wrong file, but needs must. We can do all of these things. We have those at shop.pedalbox.show, as is here. Okay, it's a little bit lower than that, but the table gets in the way, so I can't. So yeah, so that you can go to shop.pedalbox.show. You can buy mugs, not like this one, which is a bit JR. Yeah, obviously this is decimals. You can buy mugs of ours, which are actually in this box over here that I can't get one out of, or I can find the broken one. I should probably just get the shattered one out the
We'll
garage.
just leave
It's
it
literally
here,
no use,
yeah.
and just pile it along here. I'll get a
Yeah.
new shelf for that. So yes, you can buy those, hats, caps, beanies, t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers.
Shill harder, Aid.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else actually now. There is the new t-shirts, the fun is better than good ones. The fun is better than good t-shirts are still in stock if you'd like to buy more. We definitely need to take some pictures of them at some point, so we actually have some pictures of them, because we don't.
Yeah.
Despite trying to order them since this time last year, actually.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's how long. That's how
Yeah.
long and much of a faff it was to
Just had a
get
thought.
them sorted.
You know what's really nice about the stream? Because there's only the weirdo hangers-on who are actually still
Yeah.
here at this point. I don't actually have to say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because these are the people who do anyway.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Yeah, if you haven't
algorithm
subscribed,
is
by
already,
by some miracle, you're watching this again, like those who watched our Lotus one, because we definitely have more people watching that at the moment than any of the other streams.
I wonder why.
You can like, comment, and subscribe on the stream.
In this episode of PedalBox,
in the
Adrian
VOD.
discovers search engine optimization.
Yes, yeah. Discovered that a long time ago.
Yeah. That was my first job in tech, was SEO.
SEO, wow. Yeah, you can do that. You can also go to patreon.com/pedalboxshow if you'd like to join our Discord, or more importantly, support us in our lunacy. It is not something that we use frivolously to gallivant around. All of our gallivanting to various different locations like Arizona, LA. If we ever get back to a car show in the UK, hopefully we're going to try and get to Retro
That's all
Rides again.
self-funded.
That is
The
all
Patreon money
self-funded.
does actually genuinely all go into the kit car.
The Patreon money at the moment goes all into the kit cars. A little bit goes into the Thunderbird, to be fair, and a little bit, a touch into the Golf. But for
Personally,
the most part, it pours its way into that kit car. Everything thus far, I think it's about 80%, and the next tranche that I've just pulled out of Patreon is all going into the kit car to buy heater parts
and more tins of black paint.
Actually, no, to be fair, the black paint is almost all of that has come out of, like, that's my funding, because I use it on other bits and pieces as well. So yeah, that's.
On the other hand,
I think
money is fungible.
to be fair, the first round did come out of Patreon money, I believe. But yes, so thank you once again to all of our patrons, all of our subscribers, all of our watchers, everybody who does the things. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things to this video as well. Even if you've already watched it once, watch it again. Why not?
Put it on in the background. We don't care. Please the algorithm.
Yeah, you can see us witter on about things to your heart's content. So we will see you hopefully this time next week. Well, not this time next week, but 2 hours ago. This day next week. And thank you all for watching.
See you next time, folks.